Holly Jolly Hotline League is here. It's episode 59. Happy holidays, everyone. We are recapping. This is a special episode because we're all going to be drinking. All right. If you are interested in joining and it's legally available in your area, feel free to join us on this episode as you listen. And if you're listening to the VOD or whatever, and again, if it's legal, go crack open a cold one, sit down, and take a look as we go through this year's best moments and your calls and all that stuff. Want to give a shout out really quickly at the top of the show to our sponsor. As always, very nice of Alienware to be sponsoring this Holly Jolly Hotline League episode. Want to go ahead and introduce my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. He's got a new camera setup, which makes him look a little weird. How's it going, Mark?
Going great. I blame myself. I left my actual camera at Offline TV yesterday, so I had to steal Josh's, which is very old and bad. So I apologize. But I got a great new setup. Got the new Alienware monstrosity. It's so big. It's like 17 inches. It's pretty awesome. Other than that, things are going well. I'm drinking eggnog with rum in it.
Nice. I was going to ask you what you're drinking.
Good. Yep. What did you say? What you're drinking?
I've not. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But next up, want to throw down to Kelby May, who's making his triumphant return to the show. How's it going, Kelby? We're going to talk to you about some of your news in a little bit. But how you been lately?
I've been great.
Yeah.
We were at Palm Springs hanging out. That was lots of fun. Went in the pool a bunch.
Yeah, not as much as me though.
Yeah, I said we.
Oh, okay. I thought you said went in the pool.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't go as much as you. Correct. Got insight into actually some new forms of medicine, which was sorry, that was an inside joke for me and Travis. I understand that.
That's gonna sound very sketchy, by the way.
It's just gonna sound like you got into Eastern medicine, like acupuncture.
Yes, let's go with that.
Yeah. And yeah, been really busy with work stuff, but no, it's been fun.
Very good. And what are you drinking?
This is vodka.
Okay. Just a cup of vodka?
Well, it's probably like 3 shots, maybe 4. But yeah, I didn't have any mixers.
How do you not have a single mixer for vodka?
So
it mixes with like juice.
I don't have
soda.
any juice. I don't have any soda. And I don't like to mix things with Monster. Monster is a beverage that should be enjoyed purely on its own because it's so good. It doesn't need anything else.
So you just have a glass of vodka.
You can make do you have milk? Could you make like a super ghetto
no,
white Russian?
Milk?
It's like a super ghetto white Russian.
I don't have milk. What the hell?
What do you drink other than
I drink water.
Monster.
I drink water and Monster. That is exclusively the list of beverages that I consume.
Well, I'm looking forward to your funeral in 10 years.
You don't have anything left over from because Kelby has what's your Kelby drink?
Oh, the Kelby cocktail?
Yeah.
You mean Coke, Fireball, and a little bit of grenadine?
Yeah, you don't have any of that?
I don't have any Coke. I have Fireball, but
wouldn't it be better to be drinking or sipping Fireball than just straight vodka?
Probably. But,
Yeah, if you're a wimp, Travis.
Yeah, Brittany, if I was a wimp.
Brittany's in the chat and she says you have milk.
Fucking Brittany.
A white Russian for a Christmas episode would be pretty fitting, Kelby.
I didn't buy the milk, all right?
All right.
I didn't know.
I'm drinking New Belgian Fat Tire, but this is a Belgian white. And that's what I'm drinking on this episode.
So you guys had another one of those like little bro weekends that you didn't invite me to?
Yes, but really quickly, I want to say
you weren't invited.
Whoever's in chat and you're drinking something, say something in the chat. So say what you're drinking, because shout out what you're drinking. We shouted out what we're drinking. New Belgium, not New Belgium.
Why am I never invited to these little bro weekends, huh? Am I just not cool enough?
Kelby?
Boy, this isn't. Wow, I was gonna throw it at you. I'm not his constant co-host, Travis. Why don't you? Actually, never mind. I was gonna say something.
Who's making the invite list here, huh? Who's making these?
Well, to be clear, we were there for like 5 days. We went there on Thursday and came back on Tuesday.
And no one's allowed to.
You could have never left offline for that long. Like those kids would have
2 or 3 days.
They wouldn't have survived.
Everyone was there for all 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people drinking non-alcoholic drinks in the chat. And you know what? That's fine. Brienne says she's not invited. The funny thing about Brienne is that I've been trying to go to Palm Springs with Rachel and Brienne for like a year now. And they're always like, oh, we're too busy running our business. You know, I'm running a business too. I made time for it.
Of which no one depends on you. No one depends on you.
That's not true. What would Broden be without Travis? Just a lost little artistic
A free
puppy.
bird working on things with actual creative value.
No, he'd be making like
He'd be making
fucking rap videos for SoundCloud
Yeah.
rappers, dude.
No.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
this is actually a true story, and since we'll kick it off the episode with this, when we were trying to hire Broden, he was in. This is a true story. He was in the Pacific, the South Pacific,
Thailand.
in Thailand and other places, and he was in brothels. This is actually a true story. And he's like, we're like, hey, we need you to fill out this form, and we need you to talk to the executive producer who's gonna for the sports at Yahoo who's gonna help onboard you. And he's like, okay, well here's my schedule. I'm at this brothel this day, and this brothel this day, and then at this night we go to this brothel.
Can you at least give the context for why he's in brothels? It's not like he was just like
Sponsored by Alienware?
sightseeing.
Don't drop the spot. You only make it worse. Isn't this your job? We're gonna talk about that in a second, but. He was filming a documentary on the
Brothels?
on brothels, yeah, basically, and so he was in all these brothels or whatever. It was kind of an interesting situation. And that's how I found Broden. We had to literally pull him out of brothels.
You guys crossed paths.
South
You crossed
Pacific.
paths in a brothel, and you found you had similar interests.
Yeah, I like how somebody in the chat says Broden got game. People who go to brothels, they got money. The point is...
Maybe he gets a lower rate because he's so attractive.
Kelby.
I'm
Travis
just saying,
Lapdance.
he's an attractive fella.
Kelby, do you
Travis
want to talk
Lapdance,
about...
$100.
Well, finally on
Broden
this
Lapdance,
episode,
50.
everyone,
Yeah.
for months and months and months, we've all been wondering what Kelby's new job is. I mean, I've known, but... So is Mark. But all of you have been wondering what Kelby's new job is.
It's welfare.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Brittany... His wife
Found a
is
really great loophole in the
independently
system.
wealthy, and he married her, and now he's good. No, Kelby, you want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I work for a company called Loaded, which is like a part of a large organization called PopDog that just announced their Series A today. Series A is Fuck, I was going to make some joke that's completely unrelated to VC, but nothing came to the top of my head. It's the first round of funding that we got, and I do sponsorship sales for influencers. So people that stream on Twitch.
Well, the way you've described this, it's like the biggest letdown of all these months. There's
No,
all
dude,
this buildup.
I'm
You
fucking
do actually
hyped.
a
I
really
don't know
cool
what
thing,
you're
and you're
talking
like, whoa.
No,
You're not
dude,
doing a
Kelby
good
got
job
my
of
juices
pitching the
flowing
company
there.
right now.
Yeah, and that, as you can tell, I'm in sales. I get people excited about things. But yeah, no, that's what I do.
Can you give
and
examples
so
of what
I've-
you've been doing over the past couple of months?
Yes. So,
Taking up extra time on the TwitchCon stage while I was trying to set up. That
I
was a
work-
pretty cool one.
I work with Ninja on his Samsung account and his Red Bull account. I work with Dr. Disrespect on his Gillette account. I work with Tim the Tatman on Razer and Doc on Razer. I work with a bunch of influencers on Corsair. I'm just working with a lot of these people that are represented by Loaded and helping usher brands into the space, think of cool things to do with them, and trying to build up the industry essentially.
Yeah, you work with all those guys, but you can't get us a Tidy Cap sponsorship. It's kind of sad. Kind of a black
Yeah.
mark on your career.
It's weird, like when you're doing sales, generally what people care about is like reach or impressions. And so when I'm talking about Hotline League to a sponsor, they have one of those questions that comes along that I generally have a hard time answering.
Kelby, can you
which
talk
is,
about, do you have
where is
anything
it?
cool coming up with Ninja?
Yeah. So there's the New Year's Eve event. that's happening where he's going to be streaming in Times Square from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern. He's got like a studio set up right in downtown Times Square that's literally overlooking like exactly where the ball drops in the middle of Times Square. So he's going to be set up there. Epic and Red Bull are supporting. There's going to be a bunch of cool stuff that's going on. There's going to be surprise guests that come by that he'll be streaming with, and a bunch of announcements. Things certainly that I'm not going to spoil, but yeah, it's kind of like Tyler had this idea where I feel like New Year's is kind of like a natural holiday for gamers, but there's nothing that's ever really like catered towards us, right? It's one of those things where like I don't know, like me and him were talking about. It's like you stay up with your friends, and it's an excuse to like stay up late and play video games when you're younger, right? And your parents don't care because it's New Year's, everybody stays up late. But now this is like he saw the opportunity with these guys to do an event like specifically catered toward where people can like tune in and win a bunch of shit and have a good time. And so yeah, he's going to be doing this big like really insanely produced event that's I think is going to be really really fun. And I've been I guess the lead point of contact from Tyler's side and helping orchestrate this whole thing with Epic and Red Bull, who have been like super sick partners. One of the really nice things about working with a brand like Red Bull is like probably a lot of people know is you have like crazy ideas and you go to them and they're like, yeah, we dropped a man from like the stratosphere to Earth, and like they like the bigger and the crazier ideas, and they're really enabling of doing stuff like that. So they're like a super good partner in that regard. And like, yeah, Epic is they're badasses. They're balling is all hell. So
Kelby, do you know any like sponsors in the scene who really try and go the opposite route? Like the closer you are to bed, the more interested they are in sponsoring you. Because I spend upwards of 16 to 24 hours a day within arm's reach of my bed. Does anyone like see that as like the lifestyle they're trying to build around? Any like one come to mind that I should start talking to?
No, but I've really never gotten this sort of like interest from an influencer before, where they've said like I really want this kind of partner. And now if it ever comes across my desk, Mark, certainly I will have you at top of mind for sleep mattress.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is coming.
Blackout shades.
Yeah.
Something like that.
A sleep mask.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you're at Loaded, part of the above top Pop Dog thing. I think for disclosure reasons, I need to discuss this, as I always try to be pretty.
Nope, you don't.
So Kelby works for me now. This is actually somewhat.
It's the worst in most true news.
Yeah.
I like how Travis just like snuck his way in there.
Yeah. Well, so for full disclosure, especially since the announcement came out today and all that stuff. So previously, I was working with a guy and some friends over at Catalyst. They're the company that did the CLG Madison Square Garden deal and the Golden State Warriors deal to get Golden Guardians into LCS. They just did back-end stuff, so it's not like I was part of, it's not like I was working with GSW or anything like that. They were just an advisory company, and so because they were friends of me, they were helping out with some of my deals. So like when Alienware hit me up, they helped me figure out what that deal looks like and some of the other stuff, the MasterCard stuff. Anyway, Catalyst, as part of this, has now been acquired by PopDog. So that means that I am now, Loaded helps me with some of my deals, and thus I am a client of Kelby's, and he has to treat me with respect.
Dr. Disrespect. Travis Gafford.
Yeah, exactly. It's me, Ninja, and Dr. Disrespect. Really, we're leading the influencer charge. And if you ask Kelby, that's where those are the three names he spends most of his time on. Doing sales. So it's pretty cool.
People ring me up and they're like, so we want to hear about Shroud, but we also really need to know about Travis Gafford.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's get into some calls. Okay, so we had some fun just chatting in the beginning of the show. Hopefully you guys are enjoying our kind of like more laid back approach to this episode, but we want to talk. I need to talk to you guys a little bit about how the show's going to be. So it's our last show of the year. It's 2018. Obviously, not much has happened in the past week, but I think these are always kind of fun shows because we get to kind of look back and think about some of the big moments reflect on the year, think about 2018. This was the first year of franchising. There's like a ton of Riot drama that happened this year. We saw some really cool sponsorships come in. This is my first year being a fully independent. Mark is, he was really grouchy this year. That was kind of similar to last year, but he's got that going for him. Kelby's got this whole thing. So I think it's just a good episode to kind of have you guys call in. We're just going to do open mics on like the things that you enjoyed about 2018, the things you disliked. We're not going to do too many like 2019 things because we'll talk about that after the new year. But let's just look back and think about some like the fun moments, your favorite moments, things that you thought were cool, things that were weird, anything you want. Mark, do you want to talk about how the call system works?
Yeah, so you guys have probably seen the show before, but if you haven't, right now in Discord, I am spamming the link to join the one that we use for this show. When you get here, you need to join Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls to voice channel, and you can kind of mute yourself once you're in there. And then in the Pleb Topics and Subtopics text channels just above those, you're going to want to go and type in whatever it is that your take is, and in this instance, something you want to talk about from the 2018 year. Make sure you've joined one of those voice channels because I can't drag you down into the waiting room unless you're in there. And if I like your topic, I will drag you down to that area. And then if you just sit around there until it's your turn, I'll hop in there, do a quick mic check with you, make sure everything's good to go before I take you on air. And we talk about whatever it is you decided you want to talk about.
And if you are a sub, feel free to throw your subtopic or your topic into the subtopics chat. It moves a little slower, so it's easier for us to grab people out, so it gives you a bit of an advantage, but there's no guarantee you're going to end up on the show. But also, I am down several hundred subs because I haven't streamed as much in the past couple of weeks, so if you want a sub, that would be great. Either way, if you are a sub, feel free to put that in the subtopics channel. As calls are lining up and as we're getting people into the waiting room, while Mark's doing that, I want to give a couple shout-outs, speaking of subs, to some people who have subbed recently. Thank you to Benjamin, Dr. Manhattan, Brittany Luhu, Super Spender for the bits, Morta Ha for the 3 months, Ruby C for tier 1, Surge 2009, who sent 200 bits, but I think that's a charity. Either way, thank you. ZG Astro, Meddling Kids, 9 months, Months Delicious 7, Otter Party Surge, Ribbon Shoe for 8, Stage C 4635, Putsipoo, and Scorpius. Let's grab our first caller. I don't know if Mark, you want to grab off.
Yeah, I got one.
Kelby looks so cool. Yeah, this is interesting. Most of the time, people are screaming about how Kelby is wearing sunglasses in the house because it's part of the aesthetic of the show, and they don't get it. But I think that's good.
I'm done looking cool.
How do you say your name, Mortaria? Mortaria. How do you say it? IC Donsis. How do you say your name, IC Donsis?
Doncic.
Doncic?
I was IC
Have you-
Don before. Yeah.
Come on, dude. You've seen European things. It's always a sound when there's shit over the sea.
Is he
Yeah, come on.
European?
It's
No, but
it's an NBA player. His
it's
name
phonetics.
Doncic is an
is
NBA.
Doncic.
A C with shit over it is a ch sound.
IC Doncic. Doncic.
There
Oh
we
my
go. The second one was
God.
better.
Doncic. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Illinois.
Illinois. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
What do you want
Wait,
to talk
are
about on
you
the
a
show
Mavs?
tonight?
Sorry, can I interject real quick? Are
Yeah.
you a Mavericks fan?
I'm just a Luka Doncic fan.
Okay,
So yeah.
continue.
Oh, okay. So I want to talk about how a salary cap is kind of necessary for the health of the league, but will never happen because of the way international play works in League of Legends. And how you look at teams like Team Liquid, who just has so much more money than any other team. It's impossible for any other team, unless they get like crazy backing from large figures, to actually compete in the NALCS.
Okay.
So, but wait, what about international play?
So, like the money in different regions is like wildly different. Like Korea has a lot less money than China, or NA, EU has less money. So if you add a salary cap, like if you add a salary cap in like one of the regions and not all the regions, then that one region is going to be weaker because they can't create super teams like we have in Team Liquid.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I guess I'm kind of going backwards to that point first. I'm not sure I agree. It's one of those things where like the capitalist in me is like, well, each scene should just worry about itself. And so like
Mhm.
to your point, like yes, global salary cap shouldn't exist. If NA wants to make a salary cap to make their scene more healthy because this VC money you argue is unsustainable and they need to protect them from themselves, then even if other scenes can't compete with what we deem our salary cap to be, it's still better for us to protect ourselves, you would say. So I think in that sense, it's best if each market does what is best for it, in that sense. So I'm not quite sure I agree on the international point.
I wish that Hunter was on the show right now just for this moment, because I know that we've talked about salary cap stuff before, and not for the reason that you gave, but I think there's a bunch of like regulatory and legal issues that make salary capping the NALCS like incredibly difficult. I can't
Yes.
speak to what they are,
No,
but
so I mean, it's basically you can't. It's wage fixing. So like if go back and look, there was a scandal a couple years ago in the tech world, and there have been in other places where, competing companies, which you would say that all the NALCS teams are, they all agree to like fix the salaries of players, or sorry, of employees. That's illegal. Because they don't want you to be able to just like walk in and be like, okay, everybody and we'll agree to pay everybody, X number of dollars and nothing more. It's not right. So the only way that these that unions work is whenever you actually, or sorry, that the salary
sports
caps
leagues?
work is whenever the teams and the players agree to what the salary cap is, because then the players are in on it, and so it's like an agreed upon thing rather than just like a collusion.
Yeah, and I guess to his point, it's not that far out of the realm of possibility where like the players should have a players association, and then they can.
Mark, you're fucking funny, dude. I didn't know we were doing jokes this episode. Players organizing for their own interests. Come on, Mark. Let's be real. That's not happening anytime soon. That would require players to do something other than play the video game, which they hate to do, even if it's in their own best interest. You know this. Come on.
Yeah. I
0%
mean,
chance.
it's 0% chance, but like in terms of like, if they like not they, but like if a group cared and put their mind to it, I actually don't think it's that far away. But it just sucks that the group in this instance is gamers.
Yeah.
Professional gamers,
Specifically, yeah, pro players.
Yeah, specifically pro players. So, like, I think, it's not that far out of the realm of possibility that like it shouldn't be discussed. But it's also, like Kelby's saying, like I think all of us are very skeptical about it happening. Though I do agree with the premise that like it would be really good for the scene. I think to, um, just for long term health benefits of the league.
Yeah, I do agree with the idea though that if you are, that it would. I think it'd be really bad if NALCS salary capped and other regions didn't have some sort of stipulation, or at least you'd have to like figure out what the salary options are for other regions, and like what could other regions pay and not try to cap.
Yeah, but
that.
I don't think it's that crazy. Like in sports, they have all these like crazy exceptions, the mid-level exception, this fucking like bird rights. There's all these like little extra rules you throw in there, and so it wouldn't be hard to say this is the import exception, which you can go 2 times the salary cap limit for, but it only counts as the salary cap price. That way you can go out and actually bid against the open. Like you can create these kinds of exceptions. So I don't think the international market is that big of a problem.
Yeah. Very good. Well, hey, Doncic, do you have any other thoughts?
I just wanted to add another thing. So do you think like another reason there wouldn't be is just because like the most paid players are like kind of overpaid because of the VC money, and that if we had a salary cap and like try to have a healthier system, they would take a large pay cut?
How are you defining being overpaid?
Well, because like
what constitutes somebody being overpaid?
Well, I don't think it's overpaid, but more so.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just curious how you're defining it.
I think they're getting paid a lot more than they would if there was a salary cap. Like if there was, a salary cap. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like pretty much, all the top teams, like top 3 or 4 teams, probably are paying large amounts of money to their players. That if there's a salary cap, their pay cuts would be huge.
Yeah.
And I think that would like add to a reason of why a salary cap would never happen.
Well, it just depends. I mean, if you cap them at the current rates, then, or at their current salaries, like if you said, okay, the highest paid person is making 1.2 mil a year, and you cap it at that, then people aren't going to lose their money.
Maybe not so odd. Yeah, I think that's a tough conversation to have. I mean, one of the things that I think can help at times is like the bottom and like middle class level of players who stand to gain ideally from something like this, because in a situation like this, you're in some sense kind of redistributing the wealth through this model where like the salary cap isn't just a team imposed thing, where like teams can't spend more than $3 million on their team, but also the highest paid player can't get more than $1 million. So that guy who's getting 1.2, the 0.2 isn't like it disappears. It should get cycled back into players and people be like underneath him. And in that sense, like that's how it's supposed to work. It doesn't always work that way, of course. And a lot of times it does result in some less money being on the table for the big stars, but like league, just like in the NBA and stuff, like you have huge sponsorship opportunities that would not factor into your base salary, and people can do fucked up deals like that all the time. As far as I understand, that's how it works in traditional sports too. Like LeBron gets, I don't know, what's the max now contract in the NBA, like 30 million, 25 million per year, but then he has like $100 million deal with Nike. Like it doesn't, like, who fucking cares? And I think that's kind of how it would be a little bit in the scene as well. Are you laughing at Travis's mustache?
It was so tight in on the stash. It also just plays into another inside joke that Travis and I had going.
You were the only one that had that joke going. I didn't have that joke going. It's not even a joke.
When I said that, I knew you were going to say that back. That it was only me who had it going. But I enjoyed it. Nick would have thought it was funny.
Nick was there. He didn't think it was funny.
Nick definitely thought it was funny. Nick thought it was fucking hilarious, dude.
Listen, we're drinking him, so we're getting off topic. Doncic, any final thoughts on the way out before we move on to another caller?
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I do think salary caps is an interesting conversation to have, and I do worry about the state of salaries sort of running rampant, so I'm glad that you brought it up, but similar to you, and maybe for different reasons, I agree that it's unlikely that we'll see any salary caps on the horizon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
See, dude. I really like that guy's voice for some reason.
It sounds like people all thought he sounded like I Will Dominate.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I get that now. Holy shit. Yeah.
Maybe like a high school version of him.
By the way, keep your topics coming and subtopics and pleb topics, everyone in chat, because I think, and by the way, there's a lot of people throwing out some random ones, hoping to kind of keep this more 2018 focused. Like, let's look back on 2018. What were the big moments for you? Like, what did you enjoy? What do you want to talk about? That type of thing. By the way, while we're there, while Mark is grabbing the next person, I want to give a shout out to Rain for Mars, Ike Will You.
All right, this is the Alienware.
Thank you.
This is the Alienware test, Travis. I'm going to go refill my drink, and you're going to tell me when my headset drops out.
Okay, I'm glad we're doing sponsor tests live on air. Mark?
When do we hear him drop out? How do we know that he drops out?
Hello, Mark? Okay, he dropped out.
This is Mark. Yeah, I'm still in the kitchen. You can hear me perfectly great. Oh, I think I'm going to get some more beverage.
The range is 6. C9 Techno Weeb. Thank you for being a Twitch sub. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I just wanted to talk about what were the highlights shows of the year.
Very good. Oh, for Hotline League?
Yeah.
All right, and remind me where you're calling from, because I think you've been on the show before, right?
No, first time.
I feel like every time you guess this, it's the opposite. This is fully what I was expecting, is for him to say first time. That's awesome.
You've been a long time sub though, right?
Yeah, I've been.
Okay, see, I've just called your name out so many times. That's why I remember it. I appreciate it. I never forget you.
That's why I didn't do it during the actual plug. I dropped out right at my door.
Hey, Mark.
I'm sure you could have gone much further. You just got like a weird mesh
C9 Techno Weeb.
And maybe it doesn't go through brick or stone that well.
C9 Techno Weeb, what were your favorite episodes of the year?
Possibly the Miami episode because all the random guests.
I wasn't on that episode.
We got to cut out the live ones because the live ones are OP. Like
I
would pick
was
those
gonna
live
say
ones.
my favorite episode was the one where we got Faker, because the dive and Beyond the Rift and all those other poser shows. That's right, I'm calling them out as posers. That's right, they're a bunch of posers.
Okay, the other one I could possibly think is my favorite.
They
is
didn't have
Kelby getting the C9 World's prediction very much wrong.
Fuck. God damn it.
That was actually pretty good too.
Ooh,
So-
the chat
Wait,
saying
the
Parth-
episode. The episode. Oh yeah, the Parth.
The
Parth one
Parth
was
episode was
amazing.
pretty good. It caused a lot of drama for me though.
For you? Why? Was TSM mad at you?
No. I just mean like if you go back and you look at the dislikes on the video, because I put that out as an excerpt, and people all were angry at you and me and thought that we were supposed to like reel Parth in and like defend the caller and all this stuff, and I didn't really care.
Dude, it's a fucking Wild West when you get on this show. Like, every man for themselves.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
I
try-
still
I-
don't think Parth was that crazy, but whatever.
Yeah, a bunch of people say
Parth
the
did
episode
nothing
Monty
wrong.
was mad at me. Not my favorite episode.
Oh god, we had some funny ones. That was a funny one. The Jacob Wolf thing.
Oh yeah,
was a
Jacob Wolf
hilarious
calls
one.
in just awkwardly and is like, I want to talk to you about if you're actually qualified to run this organization. It's like, okay, this was our last caller, but I guess this is where we're going.
It was so funny too, because the way he typed it in, some people type things one way in chat, and then when they get in the show, it breaks a really different way. And that was one of the ones where he's like, I want to talk about the hiring processes of, executives and people in esports. Like, how does it happen?
Of
And,
course,
You got
because if he had
baited,
said,
dude.
I want to call in and ask your... Because here's the thing. I am defensive of everyone on this show. Like, I think everyone should be respectful until someone isn't. So when that guy calls in... It's funny that both these conversations are around the same thing. That guy calls in to talk to Parth and is like, I don't think any of you guys are good at your job. Fucking, I'm not gonna keep Parth
Yeah.
on a leash. Like, that guy
Yeah.
can chase somebody down the street if Parth can chase somebody down the street. I don't care.
All for the content, right?
And then similarly, like the Hunter thing was awkward because Hunter's my friend, so I felt like people would scream bias if I step in to try to like defend him, but like Jacob Wolf comes in and just like, that was when I realized, okay, this is why Jacob does his interviews written, because like, this is just awkward now. All of us are feeling really... Twitch chat was like, what is going on?
You should absolutely do a Hotline League controversies of 2018, because you put the Parth thing, the Monty thing, the Jacob Wolf thing, my thing where I flamed European fans. You put in...
See, the European fan thing, I thought wasn't even that big of a deal, but it did get a lot of heat on Reddit.
What?
Don't
It wasn't
forget,
a big...
Don't forget hating on 100T, right?
Hating on 100
Thieves,
T.
Yeah. That was so funny because we were hating on 100 Thieves before it was cool. We hated on 100 Thieves as they were getting fourth place barely to TSM, even before then.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, these guys are dicks. They're way too hard on them. And then Worlds rolls around. Everyone's like, murder everyone in the 100 Thieves org. You're like, what?
yeah. Exactly. That was great. It's like, well, we called it. Because we also were so skeptical about them going to Worlds, and we got flamed by people being like, wow, they should support them. And quite frankly, I think we were all saying we hope we're wrong, but them going to Worlds. Okay, Kelby wasn't saying that. But Mark, you and I think wanted to be shown wrong about the 100 Thieves thing, but we just weren't.
That's the funny thing is everything we were saying before that was everything that went wrong at Worlds. We're like, we don't think this org's playstyle is very interesting, and they're not very good, so they're just gonna get creamed, and it's not gonna be any fun. And then you throw in their bad communication on top of it, which was probably really what sent the fans over the edge. But yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be great to put out a video of just all the hilarious shit. I'm sure we're forgetting a bunch too.
Techno Weeb, do you have other episodes?
I've watched literally every episode that you
Thank you.
made of this, and I have one more thing. What was your favorite host of the co-host of the year, guest?
Co-host of the year? It's not
Guest.
Kelby.
Son of a.
By default, is Kelby for being here the most?
Yes.
Okay,
Participation award.
Yeah, literally.
I'll
by,
fucking
by,
take it.
by pure value brought to the show, the fact that you showed up on 15, 20 episodes.
Yeah,
means
but
that you have to be
he turns down a
For
lot
free,
of them
Bush.
down. He turns a lot
Yeah.
of them down.
But
Sorry.
I'm an intern. I'm unpaid.
I think Faker was pretty good.
He wasn't a real
Uh,
guest, like a whole episode guest.
Okay.
I really
Um,
liked Nate Shot when he was on.
He was not a full episode guest.
Is your tongue in your cheek right now?
Wait, wasn't Nate Shot on for a full episode? Or
No,
am
he
I
came
wrong?
on like
I mean, that's
He
close
was-
enough. That was an hour.
yeah.
He was
You know,
on for he was on for half of the show.
I really like
Okay.
Anero. I thought Anero was pretty good. When Kobe was on and was like seemingly drunk, that was an interesting one.
What do you mean seemingly? We all came back from a party.
Yeah.
Just trying to help
Together.
him out here.
We all were drunk.
Who else? I enjoyed Parth. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if he's
Parth
ever
was
coming back on the show again, but I thought he was pretty good.
I thought there was someone who I can't remember who was just like fucking hilarious.
I also really liked the British dude that we had on when we
Oh,
had
Foxtrot?
Carson. Yeah, Foxtrot was great.
Foxtrot
Yeah.
was a good one.
Yeah. And
Dash
and
was
Dash
really funny.
Dash just takes over the show. The fact that
Yeah.
like
Dash is my night off.
yeah, Dash is my night off too. Dash is the caller's night off. Dash just shows up, and then you just feed him a line, and then he just goes.
It's like, Dash, what do you think about the color red? He's like, well, what do you mean by the color red? Because light's a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And so like, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Every time we've had Steve call in, Steve only called in once this year because the other episode was last year. But
Yeah, Steve wasn't a guest. He was.
Steve always comes in, and it's hilarious because he like drops some news, and then like it just does random shit. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think those are all pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, is Kobe in chat?
Kobe wasn't.
Kobe's in chat. Is Kobe probably the best, to be honest? I doubt that Kobe remembers that episode.
I remember I think we interrupted something to get him back on the show because he was late.
Yeah. As an aside, by the way,
Preoccupied.
Alienware sent me a projector that I plugged in, and Brett and I were messing around with it today. There's on my Instagram story. You can go check it out. And I set it up and just turned it on because it's a 4K projector. It looks beautiful. Kelby, you would love this thing. And I just set it up, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave this on with all the lights off. And it's like right when Kobe walks in the door. And I just, as the show's going, I hear him go, "Holy shit!" when he walks in. It's just like because it looks like this giant window into a rainforest because I was looping some 4K rainforest footage. Anyway, okay, so good co-hosts. I think good episodes. Where I enjoyed this. I mean, before we say goodbye to Technoweeb, I would say like Mark and I have said several times this year, like Hotline League is just we're really proud of it. And I think a lot of that comes to you guys who call in and help us out because it's just such a, I think for a long time, like you can look at a lot of these talk shows and it's like, okay, a couple people and then maybe they're interviewing like a pro player or something like that. I've done those shows forever. That was the very first thing I ever did. But I think Hotline League is such a unique offering. It's so fun to have you guys come in and share your opinions, and some of them are really stupid. And some of them are amazing and make us think about things we've never thought about. And it's
Like C9 making it out of groups.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably my favorite thing all year from Hotline League is like when the Latin American callers called in, like all of them had so much passion. They were super funny, and they actually brought like really good perspective about how they see themselves playing NA compared to like NA playing Korean, how they're pretty much the same thing. So I thought that was really cool.
All the foreign callers were very cool to have on.
all the foreigner callers.
International callers.
Yeah.
Okay, international. I
All
don't
the
mean to
imported
offend anyone.
callers.
Yeah. No, it's always really cool when you hear somebody who's like, I'm calling from wherever, and it's like 4:30 a.m. but I've stayed up to call in and give you my opinion on why North America is the best, and I hate my region. I'm like, this guy is great.
Yeah.
Who's the Swedish guy that always calls in and flames at you? I really like that guy.
I forget his name.
It's it begins. I feel like it begins with a D. Why not?
Yeah,
No,
I feel
you're
like it
right.
does too.
It
Yeah,
definitely does.
absolutely does.
Yeah. I love
He's
that guy.
great.
Anyway, Technoweeb, thank you so much for calling in. This was a great conversation topic.
Thank you for all the entertainment you bring to the League community, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, dude.
You're
Really
welcome,
appreciate it.
dude.
Yeah. Have a good one. All right. Well, now's a good time to take a quick break and talk a little bit about our sponsor for this episode, Alienware. Alienware has done so much cool stuff for me. Somebody in chat just linked the projector that I was talking about. $5,000 projector. All right, and they just sent that my way.
You don't need that, dude. Go donate that. All right, be a better person. You don't need a $5,000 projector.
We're gonna use it next year for a project. I don't know what yet, but we're gonna use it. Alien or Team Liquid uses those, and they're pretty cool. But either way, they sent me that. There's a video up on my YouTube channel that I'd love to have you guys watch. I'll link it in the chat right now if you guys want to watch it later, or just have it on the other screen. But they sent us basically, and more than this is coming, but we have a video where we're opening basically $25,000 worth of product that they sent us. And it's just been incredible. Like, we've basically replaced everything and more with this stuff. Mark was able to get a new laptop to replace his aging one.
Wait, you're getting $25,000 more shit though.
What's that?
You're getting $25,000 more shit than we've already got. Like, I thought when I saw you tweet about that, it was like that was encompassing what we have gotten so far.
No, that's encompassing. But now they've sent even more now because I've got the computer that hadn't shown up yet.
I'm coming over and I'm gonna treat it like one of those shopping game shows where it's like, you got 10 minutes to grab everything you want from this store. And
so you're gonna rob me, is what you're saying? Like, you're walking over and you're gonna treat it like it's one of those game shows, but it's not a game show. So you're just gonna rob me.
Great sponsor plug, guys.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna steal a shopping cart from a Ralph's nearby or something, and then I'm coming to your place, and I'm putting a timer on my phone.
All right, I'll give Kobe the heads up to lock his door, because
Kobe's room's off limits.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, so we got the they sent us all this stuff. There's even more coming. It's been incredible to have them just sort of support us so much. This jacket, by the way, one of the things they sent. But if you're watching live, now if you're watching the VOD, I'm sorry it's too late. You didn't catch it on the other episodes or whatever. But if you were watching it live, there's a giveaway that you can enter. There's a link to it in the chat right now, but if you don't see it, you can do ! giveaway, and then there's a link and you can click through it. And we're giving away a laptop, a notebook, the same one that Broden and I use now, the M15. It just came out, I think about a month or so ago. A monitor and a backpack to a first, second, and third place winner. So if you guys actually go enter that, we've had a ton of entries, which I really appreciate, but you still have time to enter. It takes like no time on your part. It's very helpful. If you're watching the VOD, then unfortunately it's too late for you, but we'll probably do more of this stuff next year. And you can always help me out by tweeting at Alienware, just letting them know that you appreciate the support, because quite frankly, like, it's so cool that they're just supporting everything. You know, going into 2019, if they were not with me, I would be really nervous about, like, how am I going to afford to go do all this stuff? And it's just nice that they've got everything. You know, all the league stuff is just completely covered. We're going to be completely fine for it for next year. So either way, thanks so much to Alienware for their support of the show. Really appreciate it. And I'll hopefully they'll send me some more stuff whenever Mark robs me from all the things that they've sent me already. Thanks so much.
Hashtag not sponsored, but I personally own two of the Alienware 240 hertz monitors because I saw them at the TL training facility when I went over there.
Yeah.
And they fucking own. They're expensive, but they're really nice.
That's what this guy is. Go check it out. And by the way, Dell.com/Travis if you want to see some of their sales and stuff going on. I'll put that in the chat too and in the description below. Let's grab our next caller. Mark is off grabbing them already. Let me go ahead and read off some subs while he's doing that. Let's see. Stablu, Muntzelicious, Meddling Kids. I think I got those already. Ribbon Chew for 8 months. Stage C 4635. Putzapoo. Scorpius. Oh, I did get these guys. Sorry. Karkaroff PhD. Tier 3 sub. Thank you for that. 8 months in a row. S Shadow X1. Skiller V2 4 months. And Scene. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. And we've got our new caller here. Mike Spam is here. Mike Spam, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks, Travis. I'm good.
Where are you calling from again? Remind me.
Still Seattle, Travis.
Still Seattle. Okay.
I like Mike Spam.
I've been drinking. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight, Mike Spam?
Looking back on this year, there was one take that probably aged worse than anything else. And I'm not sure if you remember.
Is it Kelby saying C9 is no chance of getting out of groups? Because that one's up there.
All right, let's be honest. That's a bad take in hindsight, but in the moment, I think we were all on the same page for the most part.
Nobody was calling that C9 was going to make it out of groups. I just made the mistake of saying 0% chance. But Mike Spam, please continue.
I was gonna say, if you looked at every other topic that was in these channels at this time last year, people were convinced franchising was gonna kill the LCS. EU fans were convinced franchising would kill the EU LCS, and look at where we are now.
Well, we don't know about EULCS. Well, actually, franchising did kill the EULCS. EULCS doesn't exist anymore. Mike
He's
Spam.
got you there.
Yeah.
Hooray, dumb technicalities.
Amen.
But I mean, okay. So, but I will say we don't know about franchising for LEC yet. We don't know what the effect that's going to have. I would guess it's going to be great. And then all the people in Europe that are like, hey, this is America. We don't want to do that. That's an American thing. They'll be like, okay, this was actually sick. But I do agree that in North America, it actually ended up being fantastic. And I really do enjoy what it brought into the scene. I think it's a lot better. A lot of people will be like, what about Immortals? But I don't know. I think we're doing okay.
What was it? The community sentiment that franchising was going to kill LCS? I don't remember that among
There
our
were okay.
circles.
So I kind of disagree with Mike Spam that there were like supposedly lots of people who were not a fan of this, but I think that there was a pretty vocal minority of people who were really worried about it and thought that teams were just going to be intentionally tanking or they wouldn't try or whatever. And I actually feel like all the teams tried. Like, and certainly none of them are like sitting around collecting money bags if they're not. So.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a majority opinion, but there was like, anytime there's a thread about franchising, there would be some relatively upvoted comments saying like, well, this is just gotta.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly,
I'm actually of the opinion that franchising has gone significantly worse than I expected.
Really?
Yeah.
Go for it.
A lot of the new entrants into the space did not perform in the way that I would have hoped to, as far as like leveling up anything that's happening here. Hunter T is like I've said a bunch of times, been the biggest and most pleasant surprise for me as far as like what they're adding from the fan experience. I don't feel like it's any better to be an LCS fan right now than it was previously. I haven't seen like a significant uptick in like what the fan experience is for me personally. Player salaries are still continuing to spiral upward, which is not good for the sustainability of the space. There are optics which some of us have visibility into around that we can't discuss publicly, but it doesn't give me a lot of public confidence. Riot for a long time had a really hard time monetizing the league, while Overwatch League was really successful. I'm glad that they've introduced MasterCard, and by all respects so far, that seems to be like a
Well,
really
to be fair,
great partnership.
MasterCard, which full disclosure sponsored the show at All Stars, MasterCard is a global sponsor, so they don't come in on NALCS.
Great. Well, that's helping my argument. Yeah, I don't know. And viewership, despite what people will tell you, apparently with just like some of these random tweets is not doing super hot. So
I think viewership was still up for the year, excluding the international competitions which get boosted by China.
You're
I
a
still
little
think
breathy
it was
right now, Kelby.
Barky?
Breathy.
breathy, like
Oh, sorry,
you've been drinking.
Sorry.
Breathing in your mic. Anyway, sorry, Mike. Continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say I still think viewership was up this year compared to 2017, but I think a lot of that gets credited towards the return to best of ones, not franchising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me counter you, Kelby. So a couple of things that I think we saw because of franchising that we wouldn't have seen before. I think 100 Thieves, despite all the shit we give them here, did an amazing job. And this may be the first team in a while to challenge any of the bigger brand, like the long-standing brands, like your Team Liquids, your Cloud9s, your TSMs, your CLGs, because just with the sheer amount of like brand building that they were able to create this past year.
Yeah, I've already said this.
And I don't think that they would exist in a world without franchising. I think Cloud9's run at Worlds would potentially not exist without franchising because they were able to make some pretty bold, risky plays with their roster in the summer split that we would have never seen in a world where, Jack could have gotten relegated. I think that I think Echo Fox, I'm worried about them for the next year, but I actually do think Echo Fox did some interesting and ambitious things this year that they wouldn't have done in a world where they could have potentially gotten franchised. You've got a big grin on your face, Kelby.
Yeah, because you and I. Never mind. We're not going to talk about it on there.
I mean, I actually have no idea what you're referencing.
I mean,
I'm sure it's related to Echo Fox's recent maneuvers.
no, it's just we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off air. I don't think that franchising has helped Echo Fox or their sustainability in the space.
I agree that it hasn't helped their sustainability,
Well,
but I do
right,
think
Echo
that
Fox's
I do. But you said
sustainability gonna be
specifically
good?
that you feel like there are things that haven't been improvements for the fan, for the viewer,
Yeah.
and I think things that did occur this year for Echo Fox were good for the viewer. I think them making pretty big plays with their roster and all that stuff. Now they're pulling back now, but I think that was a good thing for the viewer.
And it
I think-
happened because of franchising?
Yeah, because they were able to spend more money this year because of that.
Oh, okay. And how's the company financially now?
You said for the viewer. I think for the viewer, the things that happened
Yeah.
with Echo Fox.
Okay,
We're
yeah,
good.
I gotcha.
All right.
I'm not
I
saying
don't think
for
it's good for the
sustainability.
viewer if Echo Fox doesn't exist in the future. So
To be fair, Kelby, based off what we've seen about Echo Fox, I'm not sure franchising had any effect, good or bad.
yeah,
I think that was just a straight bad things come, like, curses coming home to roost or whatever.
Yeah.
it is.
I do think actually that this year there were more teams to root for than you had in a long time, and I think that's because of franchising.
and we lost Immortals because of franchising.
Eh.
Yeah. I mean, so they were better than some of the new teams. I will say to like
They were
Kelby's
better
point,
than some of the new teams.
yeah, they were better than some of the new teams.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
Immortals was the winningest regular season team since they entered the LCS.
Yeah, but it wasn't like their content was good or they did anything for their fan outside win a bunch. Like they were not, TL or C9. Like they were not one of the old orgs in that sense in terms of what they put into the scene. Whereas like I think 100 Thieves outperformed anything Immortals ever did.
Yeah, 100%. We're all great on 100 Thieves.
Yeah. So like I would agree. Like there were a lot of teams that were much worse than Immortals. But I would say like for me, franchising probably gets like a C. Like in terms of I was expecting a lot more. Like to Kelby's point, so it's hard not to be slightly disappointed in terms of like what it would have meant for money coming into the scene, not just from the people literally putting their money in, but like attracting new sponsors and stuff. And I think that was somewhat.
I'm curious if either of you think that the league would have been better without franchising. Like, do you think
No,
franchising
no.
was a mistake?
No, I not absolutely not. But
Kelby?
I'm just saying that like if it felt like it was an improvement, but it was like I said, like a C on my mind. Like there were clear things that could have gone better as well.
Kelby?
I think that franchising. I don't think like from a fan experience. I think it's probably like a net neutral. I think franchising is a.
I mean, do you?
I don't know if I
I'm
wanna say
curious,
this
do you- Yes or
publicly.
no?
Never
do you
mind.
think franchising shouldn't have happened?
I do not think franchising should have happened.
Oh,
No.
really?
No, I definitely don't.
So you
Wow.
think relegation and stuff should have continued?
I don't think that teams should have had to spend $10 million to be a part of the LCS.
Okay. Well, that's the price tag.
Yeah. Which was
What if the
necessity
price
for
tag
franchising.
was like $5 million? Is it okay to franchise?
I don't think that.
What if the price tag was $0? Was it okay to franchise?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. So the
I
act
think-
of
I think that
franchising
the-
is fine. You just think it costs too much to get in.
Well, yeah, because that was all connected in necessity with franchising, and then like all the terms that teams have to buy into in order to be a part of this league, and
Yeah.
what they give up, and all of this stuff. Yeah, I think is like a huge problem for the sustainability of professional League of Legends in North America. But no, I like the competitive structure and format, the changes that franchising brought in that regard, and also I think the stability around organizations staying in. That's a product of franchising. I like all those things. Those are good things. If we could have, in my mind, my one humble person's opinion, if we could have gotten all of those things without people having to spend $10 million to buy into an ecosystem and get a bunch more restrictions around something they were already losing money against, that would have been preferable.
Yeah. Mark, somebody in chat, hang on, I'm trying to grab their name, but they wanted to ask me, BlueJ1344 asked a good question, which is what were you looking for to make it an A+? And while you answer that, I'm going to grab another beer.
For me, I think to what Kelby's kind of hinting at here is I think some of the business elements of franchising could have gone better. Um, you know, we can talk about the new orgs coming in as well, not really bringing anything to the table. There's this problem when outside people come into esports where they don't actually really understand the space that well. And the people that they're consulting with and hiring are people that have already been in the space the entire time. So as a result, there's like no palpable change. And so for me, I didn't feel like the business parts took off quite like what I was hoping for, and I didn't feel like the new orgs brought anything different other than more money, you could argue, than some of the old orgs. But I think a lot of the, like Travis was kind of saying, like the systematic changes that happened to the formatting of the league and what it did for competitiveness, and despite a lot of people in chat being like, I don't think I noticed any change, well, it's like, well, then you probably weren't watching the league that closely, because there were insane things that happened because of franchising from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, I'll agree with all that stuff 100%.
Yeah.
And I think Travis's point about franchising and what enabled Jack to do with the roster is a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a number of players who I think got opportunities that wouldn't, like even FlyQuest with JJ, the fact that he was on their academy team and they got brought in, like there were a number of moves like that where an academy guy got a shot where they might not have otherwise. And I thought that was really entertaining. And like, if you're not following the scene super closely, you might not be like, what's JJ's career trajectory? And like for them, they might not see it, but like for someone who's very embedded in the scene, I did see a lot of those advantages.
How much did X Silvark just gift subs? Did he give 50?
Holy pog.
Holy. Okay, we're gonna get to that during the break, but
What break?
Dude, I feel
Between
bad
callers.
for Mike Spam. Mike Spam hasn't gotten a word in edgewise.
Mike
What does
Spam.
Seattle think about this?
what do you want to say?
Compared to how the rest of my calls usually go, this is probably a good thing.
What
That's true. This is one of the most diplomatic Mike Spam calls we've ever had.
Mike
Oh.
Spam?
Did you have anything else
What's
to
up?
contribute?
No, I'm just here.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so did you? Yeah, do you disagree with Kelby on all this stuff? Because you seem to really like it, and you're a viewer. So why do you think it improved your experience as a viewer?
I think it future-proofed the league. If there's one change it made, it was that 2-3 years from now, I can't see this being unwound easily, so we're kind of stuck making the best of it, whether or not it was a good decision. And I think we'll probably see an overall improvement of the LCS experience just because of that.
But that feels like a pullback. You're like, well, they did it, now we're stuck with it. Whereas you were saying, anybody who was saying before that franchising was...
Oh, no, I think it's great.
Okay.
But even in the scenario where I'm wrong, I think it still has positive outcomes.
Yeah. So I think what this conversation kind of boils down to for me is that, like, if you're in Kelby's camp, you say, well, this is not going to be good for the future, and we haven't seen the downsides of it yet, but we're going to soon because the economics of franchising don't make sense. Mike Spam, you're saying that like things are going to look good, and I would just say I feel like we've already seen some of the good effects.
Yeah.
Travis, can I caveat your statement with one thing?
Sure.
I don't think the economics of it makes sense based on the attitudes of what I see to be the investment groups that have bought in, with some exceptions. I think if people who had invested into franchise teams had appropriate expectations around what they were investing into, again, based on my outside knowledge and conversations directly with some of these people, blah, blah, all this stuff, because, I'm not obviously all of those individuals who made those investments, but, anyways, I get concerned based on what I hear and what people's expectations would be accordingly with how franchising is going to pay out economically for them, and what I think the realities of that will be.
Yeah.
And again, I do think there are some exceptions, and those people will greatly benefit and are benefiting and will continue to do so. But if you put money into something expecting one thing, regardless of what it is, and then you get something else, it's going to be lame.
Damp Biscuit is spamming in all caps. Do you think Double Lift wouldn't get kicked if there wasn't franchising? I think Double
Wasn't
Lift
Double
would
Lift
get kicked.
MVP?
Well, he's talking
Of
about
his-
from TSM last year. Like, did TSM
I think
kick Double Lift because they felt like they could make a risk? I think franchising was not relevant to that conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Anyways.
Mike Spam, any final thoughts here?
Nope. Just glad to end out the year.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being on the last episode
Thanks, dude.
ever.
Thanks for.
Oh, we lost him. Mike Spam, I'm sorry for moving you.
We lost him, as in I violently threw him out.
Well, Mark, maybe you shouldn't do that in the future.
Fuck.
Okay, so I want to give a big shout out to X Solvark, who gifted 50 subs. Very, very holiday spirit of you. Thank you, X Solvark. That's so generous of you, and helps kind of shore up some of my subs. I Drink Milkus, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Radical 1929. But yeah, I think it's actually, who was it I was talking to last night? Where was I last night? Oh, it was Spelsy. I was talking to Spelsy from Golden Guardians, a former roommate of mine, and he was just talking about how cool it is that, like, somebody would go and send a sub to somebody. It's like, actually just, it shows, it's like, wow, they actually really care about you. I don't know. It was just kind of a cool conversation, because I've mentioned to him that some people sub to me while I'm offline. Like, sometimes I'll just check and I'll be like, wow, I got like 3 subs today. I didn't even stream. And he's just like, it's so cool that they just like think about you and like go and do this thing to help you. I Buzz Quick is joining the show. I Buzz Quick.
Yes.
Where are you
yes.
calling from?
I don't.
I'm
It's
calling
isn't it?
from-
I bust quick.
Yeah, that's exactly
Isn't
right.
that what
I
I
just wanted to
said?
make sure we were getting the enunciation correctly. It feels like you were skipping over the T to make it sound like I bust quick, but I just wanted to
No,
make
no,
sure we all knew it was I
bust.
bust quick.
What does
Yeah,
your name
hard
mean?
T. Well, I mean, it.
What does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, you just got. I mean, you can find out.
Like when you're playing blackjack?
Yeah. I spend a lot
I
of
thought
time
you
in the
were being
casino.
serious for a sec, Travis. Holy,
Yeah.
you're
Where are you
hilarious.
calling from?
I'm calling from Canada up here. It's nice and cold.
Whereabouts in Canada?
I'm calling from Calgary, Alberta.
Okay, never been there. But
No, well, you should come.
should
You
I?
can find out. Yeah, there's a lot of people who bust quick up here, but yes, it's very cold. But yeah, no guys.
Woo!
What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, first time. I love the show. First time calling in, long time listener. You guys are MVPs. But just want to kind of go over the whole year in review, spring and summer split. And kind of say which were the biggest overachievers. You know, like who was, you know, um, very low rated, kind of in all the power rankings. I got the Mark Z's power ranking NALCS Spring 2018 up here.
Oh, that's
Oh!
a good
Oh,
one.
here we go. I think
I
this
like
is gonna be a disaster.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so his power rankings for spring. Go for it.
Yeah. So, well, he's got TSM at number 1.
Let's go.
I don't really
Where
want
is
to talk.
this, by the way? Is this a? Did you write this up?
It's
Mark?
it's a video.
It's a
Okay.
video, yeah. Couple of views on it, but yeah, he's got TSM at number 1. I don't really want to talk about TSM as much, but that's a dead horse. I mean, let's a couple actual recent developments. I guess we can talk about it while they're up there at number 1. I don't know why you put that, but Vinny actually came up with an interview. It was in Spanish on Reddit. You said that.
One second, I
There's
bust
no
quick.
real
I'm trying to get the
news.
video up, but
Yeah,
it's
Figured
let's
it's
not
about
get-
time
let's
I
get-
dropped my
Let's have
2018
some fun.
spring
Let's look at
power
this list
rankings.
real quick, Travis. I'm watching. Oh, you pull it down.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Sorry.
just
Go.
linked it in the subtopics there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
So
nice-
sorry. So
nice
TSM
thumbnail.
was number 1.
If you
Yeah,
skip to the
there.
end of the video, Travis, I think I'll have the whole reveal.
Okay. There we go. Got
Yeah,
it.
I didn't want to watch the whole video, so I just did that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no one wants to. I mean, it's only got 280,000.
Yeah, I was
views,
gonna
so it's
say
not-
the real winner in this video is Mark because he fucking somehow got 300,000 views.
Dude,
That's
I'm
crazy.
telling you,
Pretty impressive.
Loco was tweeting some shit like, "I'm gonna write up a power ranking list or something." I was like, "Dude, put it on YouTube, you fucking idiot! Like, people eat that shit up."
Yeah, that's the language you used with him. Okay, so continue.
You don't think
Bus
I
Quick,
talk to
sorry.
Loco like that?
Yeah, so Mithy came out with this video on, or this interview. He said that TSM had poor coaching and support infrastructure, and that Bjergsen was great and all that kind of stuff. But do you think that the coaching infrastructure is more of a culture thing for TSM and will kind of carry over.
Wait, what? We were gonna make fun of Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
no.
skipping around here. What are we talking about on this call? Are we talking about
I don't
TSM or are we talking about because you
I'm fucking-
in the fucking call thing? Do you like? All right, hold on, time out because I'm kind of buzzed. And I feel like talking about
yeah,
this.
no.
Can
Listen,
callers actually say what they fucking tell me they're gonna say?
I got
Because you
100
told
different
me we
notes
were-
on here.
Well,
I'm stupid.
no one.
I don't-
This
I don't
this
even
isn't.
know. Okay,
this
let's
isn't a
stick to
fucking-
it. Let's make fun
this-
of Marks here. I got it pulled up. So, what do you guys think went wrong with TSM, CLG, and Clutch Gaming to a certain extent?
Let's talk about this list. Travis, can you get all the webcams out of the way? Like,
Yeah.
I actually think this is great because he told me he wanted to talk about overachievers and underachievers, and I was like, okay. And then he pulls up my list. I'm like, great, because I got a lot of shit wrong.
Okay.
Let's talk
We
about
go.
it.
Let's
Yeah,
talk about the
let's go
list.
through it.
Yeah,
I bust
so-
quick. Please talk about the list.
All right, so number 1 TSM, they didn't do well. Counterlogic Gaming number 3, they didn't do well. Clutch Gaming, they didn't do well. Okay.
Wait, Clutch was 6 that split. This is spring split. I was 1 off.
Yeah, I was talking about whole year in review if you remember that line.
Yeah,
I'm
but this
kinda
wasn't.
Why
average.
are you
NL
using my spring power rankings for year in review?
I got the summer as well.
I'll allow it.
What, Kelby? Why are you gonna take my spring power rankings and hold them up like end of year? It doesn't make sense. The team's changed. The
they
roster's
don't.
changed.
The thoughts do this. It's consistent.
They were 1
Kelby
off.
allowed it.
I will not accept Clutch being
Kelby
1
allowed
off
it.
from their ending as a bad ranking.
Kelby
I
allowed
won't.
it.
The last time I listened,
Please
I don't know.
continue.
All right. So I just kind of realized that's not really the overachiever day. That's kind of the underachievers.
Yeah.
All right. So the overachievers, I guess, be Echo Fox, I guess. Besides all the sustainability issues, they did pretty well.
100T.
100
Yep,
Thieves,
100
they made it to fucking Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Well, they got
trash
second.
They got second
Yeah.
at spring. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if we're looking at his spring standings and comparing it to how things went in spring, and then kind of discussing how they did overall at the year after that, I would
Yeah,
say
well,
he
I
did
mean-
really. I would say Mark failed on the 100 Thieves thing.
Well,
and the
we all
CLG
mess up.
thing.
We're only human, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
Mark.
Also for overachievers, FlyQuest for the number of Snickers mentions. I mean, that has got to be a goddamn record. I mean,
Kelby, this is not a sponsorship ranking, all right? I know they were incredible.
let me tell you that Snickers got their hashtag partner value from that relationship. Okay.
So
You're
a couple
only
things
providing
about,
them more value when you talk about it like this.
a couple of things about that list. CLG at 3, that was one that like I probably didn't actually think they were that great, but like Jat and the community were so fucking hyped on Rainover, I bought into everyone else's hype.
Jat was so hot. Like
He had them number 1. He had
Yeah,
CLG number fucking 1. Insanity.
and he stayed that way forever. By the way, he kept
Until like
betting on
week
them.
7.
Yeah.
I sold my TSM stock so fast.
It was-
I sold that like week 3.
It was great
I
too
still
because
have mine.
it was great too
Like
because
my
this
Bitcoin.
was like Jat's first. This is Jat's first year as an analyst. It's like, okay, Jat's no longer a caster. He's come to the analyst desk to bequeath his predictions, and he's like, everyone, CLG will be number 1. I know it. Oh, they had a rough start. I know. It just kept going on and on. It's just like, well, maybe Jat should go back to casting. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't. If we want to go on the Jad on the analyst desk, I think that's worse than a lot. But I did like his casting. Is kind of where I'm with that. But that's an aside as well.
But so let's run out a Bust Quicks conversation, which is just like, who were the teams that, like, setting aside Mark and Jad or whatever, who were
Yep.
the teams that I think we would have predicted to not do as well this year? And I will say this: I would have never predicted Golden Guardians to do as bad as they did. I was like,
True.
I don't
Why?
think they were going to be like so guaranteed number 10.
Well, did you see that bot lane?
Wait,
I
the
just-
ball lane was one of their strong points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
but I mean, it's still kind of gimmicky.
I bought into the idea of them being able to actually build a interesting and compelling like it's building this talent, right? I was like, okay, they'll hit like 7th or 6th.
They fired the guy who was supposed to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Like they had this game plan kind of like bring in young guys who like kind of need some coaching up, and we got Loco, this like one of the longest tenured coaches in North America. Oh, we fired him, and now we don't have a coaching staff to help our young talent.
Yeah.
It's like,
And the weird
mean,
thing is they could have hired. I mean, now it's kind of funny because of recent events, but they could have hired Saint or Cop or both
Cop
of
at the
them.
time, yeah.
And those are actually guys that have, like, along with Loco, great experience with young talent or developing talent, and they just didn't. So that's one example of it. Who else? I don't know. I feel like most of the other teams played out the way we kind of expected them to. I think Echo Fox was not as good as we thought. Like, I think a lot of people probably would have predicted Echo Fox to go to Worlds even.
Well, Echo Fox was
you had them so low, Mark.
Well, because I thought that team was going to explode. I didn't think that there was. If you listen to my reasoning in the video, I said like I think this team will either be really fucking good or not make playoffs. And so I had them on the not making playoffs line, but I said it was one or the other. It was like a coin flip.
Yeah.
And they were pretty good, but they were still, once again, like you were just saying, not as good as I think people remember. Like people kind of remember the 8-0 start. To spring, and then they don't realize that then like they slumped really hard in the second half of spring. You know, they never made a finals. They beat Clutch once in the third, fourth place match. Like they actually didn't have that many impressive, important wins, and they were not close to Worlds. Yeah. So I don't think that they were. Some people consider them the third best team this year. I would put them at like fourth or fifth. They weren't super good.
Where would you have placed?
Some people think they were like some big, you know, Huni and Dardoch and people fans.
You placed Cloud9 at fourth, which is interesting because I think the Cloud, like no one would have predicted the Cloud9 story. I think because I think people did not expect them to suck as much as they sucked for like almost the entire year.
But it doesn't show up that they sucked on the statistics because they
finished second in spring. They were first. They were second place for the entire first half of spring. They
finished fifth in spring, regular season at least.
Did they? Because according to
well, I mean, they were 12-8, so they were tied for fourth with Liquid.
Am I looking at the wrong year? Or are you looking at the wrong year?
2018 spring.
What is this fucking ranking I'm looking at? Yeah, you're right. But there was that crazy 6-way tie or 5-way tie, whatever it was.
Yeah, with all the tiebreakers.
Yeah, so it was a crazy end, but they were 8-1 as well, or 7-2 in the first half of spring. Like they were up there with
just
Echo
an aside
Fox
as well though. Optic Gaming, worst logo in the LCS, 100%. Gotta be.
Yeah, I mean I had them 10th. They were 9th. I had Golden Guardians 10th.
No, just based on the logo.
Dude, you're like fucking.
I love this.
Doctor Strange seeing into random alternate realities and deciding to talk about those out of nowhere.
Remember when Mark described 100 or Golden Guardians merch on stream? That was great.
What'd I say?
You said that was it? I think it was you. Do you remember this, Travis? Where Mark was saying that like it looked. I can't remember exactly. It was not complimentary.
There was definitely a caller who came in and said like it was like kindergarten like shit or something.
Yeah.
I remember a caller had that opinion.
All right, I think we're off topic, but any other any other big surprise? Let's just say for teams, any other big surprises this year?
I actually had one 3 words actually. What went wrong? And that's kind of where I was starting off with the CLG. I wanted to talk about what went wrong with CLG this year.
I mean, I still think they had like they lost Aframu, which I think a lot of people thought, or it turns out was actually a pretty big deal, more than a lot of people expected. I think Aframu was
the only reason 100T went to Worlds. That's got to be.
What do you think about that, Mark?
I think Someday's pretty good too.
Yeah, but without, like, I just don't think that you put Someday with any other support that was available or could have been on that team, and they do the same.
I mean, I just think it was like Afro's leadership of the team, and whenever he left, like CLG just sort of crumbled without it.
Yeah.
I just think it's weird to say that the only reason they made Worlds.
Yeah.
And then say Afro.
But back to CLG.
Last Worlds, CLG didn't. Okay.
CLG, pretty big disappointment. I think a lot of people expected them to be more, but I don't know. I think they just got left behind in a world of like improving teams. Hey, let's wrap this up.
I think that they fucking put their chips in Rain over, who was a dud. It's been a dud for 2+ years.
Yeah.
Yep. Called that one.
Hey,
All right, cheers, guys. I really appreciate keep doing you.
yeah, thank
Thanks.
you. Thanks for the
Thanks
call.
for taking your time with us, man.
Yeah,
You
thank
too.
you.
Maybe do a little less you.
All right.
Caller.
3.
What? I thought he was great. Most
Mark's
of our
just
callers
offended
that
that
come
he-
in.
No,
Call that
if Travis didn't put the boot down and decide what that conversation was gonna be about, it would have been a disaster.
Well, that's what I'm here for. Your boy Graf
Yeah.
has resubbed for 3 months. Healthiest relationship I'm in right now, to be honest. Well, your boy Graf, I hope your sub relationship gets pushed down on that tier list. Edsid12799, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Hey chat, let's throw some. It's the holidays. Let's throw some more Twitch Primes. I'm sure some people got them. Let's fire them off. I appreciate it for everyone who does call in and do that kind of stuff. By the way, after the show's done, stick around because I'm going to be streaming a bounty. But I'm also going to be hanging out with you guys, and I've been drinking, so it's going to be good. Schmoley, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Mellow Jello 100, thank you for the 13 months in a row. That's crazy. Obladesk, is that how you say your name?
Hi, Obladesk.
Obladesk. Is that better?
Yeah, great.
Okay. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Santa Rosa, California.
Santa Rosa. Cheers to that, buddy. Are you drinking tonight?
No, very sober.
Very sober. Okay. Well, at least that makes one of us. What are you talking about, or what do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
All right, so yeah, I love competitive League, but I am more of a filthy casual, and I like following the scene and the big action points in every game, but I'm not as interested in super deep analysis. And I think that as League viewership grows, there's going to be more and more people like me watching. So I really, really loved the kind of hangout side stream that they did in NALCS this year, where they had players that were watching games with one of the casters, and I think it was a lot of fun. I'm not sure if that was added on this year. Or
The
if it was-
NALCS Lounge stream.
Yeah, that's what it's called, the
Yeah.
lounge. But yeah, I would love to see it expanded upon a lot more, more than just one game per day of the broadcast. And I think that this year it was not super curated in conversations. I feel like there are some games where there was just huge tangents where they weren't even really watching the game anymore. In some games, the players were just kind of quietly sitting there and watching without a whole lot of discussion. So I think that what would help with that a lot is just having more guests to bounce between for conversation and add more guests that aren't players, because there's so many aspects of League that I'm interested in besides the deep competitive analysis, and I think it would be really fun to have people from Riot and from the League community hang out and watch games and chat about what they do and their perspective on the game. So inviting people like Riot staff members and
Yeah,
mixes of
gotcha.
people like streamers, artists, designers,
So-
sound writers, broadcast production.
So I want to broaden this out. So first off, let's talk a little bit about the lounge stream. I don't know, Mark. Mark, did you ever get to see any of them, or are you just like you're busy?
The
so you can't
lounge?
see any? Yeah.
Yeah, we would often flip our audio because we have control of what's coming in our ears.
Yeah.
So we would often flip our audio off casters to be the lounge stream and then watch the program feed. So that way we could hear if they were talking about something interesting in the game, and if they were tangenting really hard, we'd flip back to the normal casters. But I listened to a fair amount of lounge streams.
So the way I would couch this conversation is by saying, one, what did we think of the lounge streams, but also more broadly, what did we think of Riot's effort this year to kind of cater to a broader, more casual audience with things like All-Stars featuring Tyler 1 and bringing Tyler 1 on the Summer Split finals desk and incorporating more influencers, and I think just generally trying to do that stuff. So I don't know. Let's start off first with the lounge stream. I don't know. I really enjoyed them. I thought it was super fun, and like they were kind of hit or miss depending on the guest. But I like the idea of a more casual stream setup for watching LCS, and quite frankly, it's one thing that I think over in the future they could sort of upsell. Like if you were to buy a package to the LCS, like a $5 monthly subscription or something, you can get access to like an alt stream. But Mark, I don't know what you thought.
I think to the caller's points, like I don't think adding more people is ever the right solution, because like you're saying, a lot of not a lot, some pro players suck at just being entertaining. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment thing. And I know Riot kind of has had the opinion that it's an opportunity for pro players to get their voice out there, kind of who they are in a situation that's not just competitive league. So, if they want to joke around, they could do it. But some players just honestly aren't good at that. And it sometimes led to a boring thing, like you're saying. I don't think the solution is add more people, because then the quiet people who are already not entertaining just get talked over to the maximum. And the new funny guy that you added, or the insightful guy, whatever it is, he'll just take over the broadcast. So like, more is not the solution. It's quality, not quantity. And so like, to your point, I do think bringing in charismatic people from outside competitive league would be a good step in the right direction to making that a more interesting product. But I don't know how much that aligns with the initial goal somewhat of giving pro players the opportunity to showcase their personality.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be really cool to add more influencers and stuff onto that stream. I think that'd be pretty neat. I also like the fact that they did the co-streaming thing for Gauntlet. Kelby, you never saw any of the lounge streams, right?
I just saw the highlights that would get posted on Reddit and stuff.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
I think broadening out, Travis, to the point about influencers, I think that really didn't come online too much until summer finals, when they finally had that show match, and then they kind of continued to do it more throughout Worlds, and especially at All Stars. I thought that was, seemed to be pretty effective. Reddit enjoyed it. Who knows how much the casual fan enjoyed it?
Yeah, I feel like people really did. I think All Stars was kind of a hit this year, in part because of the more influencer centric stuff. Kelby, I'm gonna kick this over to you. You now have, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, you're moving kind of from esports to more influencer streamer world. What do you think of the idea of kind of blending these things more, as we kind of saw at All Stars, and maybe as Riot's been thinking about as they've like built a league partner program and all that stuff? Like, do you think that there's a world for moving influencers more into this esports space, kind of mimicking what we've seen with Fortnite and all that?
I think it's a good. I think it just pays dividends to both part of the community, right? Where for Riot, they're most interested in concerned about growing the success and engagement and popularity of League of Legends, right? Their esports league is supposed to be ostensibly some sort of marketing or engagement tool for the League of Legends fan, and especially the competitive League of Legends fan. So when you have the opportunity to create paths for additional exposure and compensation for influencers who are supporting your game, and bring them to events and get them exposure to another audience as well. They bring their audience and expose them to maybe some of the esports content that they hadn't been watching before. You get to pollinate the different aspects of the community, because obviously there's a lot of fans like our caller who are more casual players, or I've known over the course of time, you run into people who play League and they don't know anything about esports, and we're so ingrained in it. You're like, what do you mean? I remember back in the day, I'd be like, what do you mean I run CLG? You haven't heard of us? It's like, no, I just play League. And I'm like,
That's
whoa,
what you'd
crazy.
say to them. What do you mean I run CLG?
So you never heard of Double if you never heard of Kelby May?
It's a
say Ocean?
Dramatic retelling. Not what I'm saying to them, but anyways. But yeah, no, so I think that it's it's great. I'm glad that they're making an effort now.
Yeah.
I think as well, on the point of kind of having separate channels to do this, I don't think much of the competitive audience would want to see the actual main LCS stream overrun with today Tyler's on and tomorrow Pokey, every day, But I think if you have lounge streams or specific events, in the future, next time they do an April Fool's event, there's no reason in my mind not to get these hilarious, entertaining community figures in there, even though it is supposed to be another chance for pro players to showcase their personality. This is a bit of a tangent. I think pro players have enough of a fucking opportunity, and if they can't make the most of it, that's their problem. I personally don't feel like Riot needs to go out of their way. So I think Riot should be a little bit more self-interested and be what makes the best product for us, versus we're trying to help these guys out. It's you have a whole every team has a content team that will make shit for you if you're funny. You have a stream, you have interviews, you have when you're up there on stage, you have your Riot features. If you can't make a fucking fan base for yourself with all of that, then you probably aren't entertaining. and I don't think they need more help. So
Or you just don't care about generating that.
yeah,
you know.
or the player just like is whatever to it, and then they're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It might surprise people like what percentage of the pro player base has no interest in like becoming a star.
Yeah, to be fair, I made it sound like all the pros are trying and coming up short. I would say the vast
Yeah.
majority of them aren't trying.
The only counter argument I would make to that though is like, if you are a rookie player who is on Golden Guardians, the LCS broadcast is the only way that you're going to be able to like get out there to a pretty big audience, right? Hopefully Golden Guardians, like an Optic and all these guys, build out their audiences over time and everything's great. They make all this great content, but for the time being, like the LCS is your one point of access to everyone, and the like 2-minute Ovly post-game interview is not that much, and like the features that they kind of air randomly and tend to focus more on like the existing stars, like I do kind of agree that trying to find as many ways to put people on there as possible is good. I do also like the post game chat or post lobby or whatever it is, like all that
Mic
stuff.
check?
No, the stuff they do after the broadcast. The
Oh
show they do.
yeah.
What's it called?
Holy shit, my producer's gonna kill me.
It's okay. None of us know because
you said post game lobby, and now I'm thinking of the EU broadcast.
yeah.
Shit, I can't remember.
Whatever. Anyway,
NALCS tonight, but is it NALCS tonight?
it is
I think they
NALCS
rebranded
tonight.
it.
Yeah.
Did they rebrand it? I forget.
I don't know.
Whatever.
They're always rebranding everything. But I think that was I think that is pretty cool. Mark, somebody in chat earlier said they wanted to talk to you about Scion Speedway and why you did so poor, why you have the worst ranking in Scion Speedway.
All right, so this is a funny story. They came up to me and they were like, "Yeah, we're trying to get everyone to do it. We just kind of need like names on the board, kind of thing to like fill it out." And so I was like, "Okay, sure." I didn't try at all. Like a lot of people did practice runs. I did not do a practice run. A lot of people like mathed out the optimal builds. I just like copied one someone kind of said to me. Like I didn't really remember if I was doing it right, and I put no forethought into it, and I just did it once without anything. And yeah, I did bad. And then like instead of just being like, "Oh yeah, you're just up there for a little bit," they fucking like expanded the leaderboard at some point to make sure I was still on there so that people could see how bad I did. I was like, they're just trolling me. I was lied to, and then I got trolled.
Nice. Well, okay. Anyway, I think that's probably a good conversation around it. Blade, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree completely that the super casual stuff should be separated from the mainstream. But I will say I've also been watching competitive StarCraft 2, the GSL, for like 8 years now, and what keeps me coming back to that isn't really like an attachment to any player or any team, but there's just really unique and engaging personalities of casters on that stream, Tasteless and Artosis, and I've never really felt that way about any of the current league casters, and obviously it's a much more small and casual production, but it would be nice if there was just like a little more spice and licks in the bush and fun little tangents that aren't like analysis or play-by-play.
It's hard to
hype.
compare anybody to Tasteless and Artosis, to be fair.
I know.
It's like the Monty and Dua, like they leave and we're left with this big hole in our hearts.
I think that having really good analysis and really good hype gets you viewers, but having like really fun and unique and engaging caster personalities like Captain Flowers keeps your viewers, and I wish those attributes were a little bit more prioritized on the main broadcast.
The most fun I ever had watching esports was early seasons of GSL and Tasteless and Artosis, and
They're so good.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's it. But thank you guys.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
thank you
thanks,
so
Steve.
much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate it. All right, we've got one more caller to go, but
Yeah, people start-
we might have time for more than one. So I don't know if anybody wants to throw another subtopic or pleb topic in.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about the future. They're like, Golden Guardians won the offseason. I'm like, that's not 2018.
Yeah, we're trying to talk about 2018, everyone. So if you want to help us out, that
If your
would
topic's not that, I'm gonna ban you from Discord.
Thanks. That's aggressive. Okay, let's take a look at the. Some more people subbed. PND. Okay, I'm not gonna pronounce that. PND. Thank you for the prime. My PS. Miss you, my PS. 13 months. Thank you. Sexy apples. with a Prime. Corrigan Prime, thank you. Ranner TV, 11 months. Mr. Coming up on a year, by the way. Mr. Fanatic 7, thank you for the 7 months. And The Law, thank you for the Prime. Appreciate everybody throwing bits, subs, all that stuff my way. Do you want to mention, by the way, tomorrow we will be opening, me and Broden are going to be opening anything that was sent to us via the P.O. box I opened. To date, we've received one letter in that P.O. box. So
When's the last time you checked?
it was a week ago. So I'm hoping more stuff showed up, but I was promoting it for a while before then. So I'm really worried that we're only going to have a letter to open.
It's gonna be a quick video.
Which will be like a pretty short, uneventful stream. But might be
Probably
also
going
comical.
direct to social. Maybe more of a Periscope than a Twitch.
No. I said it's going to be a stream. And it might also be a YouTube video. Also, Immortal sent me a box, which I'm pretty sure are their new shoes. So we'll open those as well.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I at least have those. But we'll keep checking the P.O. box. So if you guys want to send anything after that. But it was inspired by some of the other stuff. I knew we were never getting offline TV stuff, but getting a single letter, it's going to mean a lot to me when I open that letter.
Have you
it's
not
the
gotten
one
any
person.
offline TV stuff, or are you
What?
saying compared to what we get?
What'd you say?
Are you talking about not getting offline TV merch, or compared to like what the offline?
Oh no,
TV
what
we
the?
get?
So I knew that we were never going to get offline
Yeah.
TV levels of like random stuff sent to me. I will admit, was hoping for something more than an envelope to open, but that envelope is going to be so much to me because that's like the person who cared the most who sent the one thing. It's pretty good. Somebody thinks it's just a letter for a bill, but it was personally addressed to the PO box. So I hope the bill.
This is the
people don't have my
renewal
number.
notice for your PO box.
Yeah.
This is Anthrax.
Yeah. Jesus. All right. XL 182SS. Welcome
What's
to the
up?
show. What do you want to talk about?
First of all, congratulations on your single. Awesome.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it. Can't wait to find out about what it is.
I wanted to talk about that I think the Academy system this year was really successful. And sorry, Mark, I forgot to tell you this before, but I was wondering if you think it's time for us to start believing in NA talent.
Ooh.
Because personally, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I think this year has probably shown us that a lot of times pros players talk about how solo queue doesn't mean shit or it's like solo queue's crap. I think we can kind of agree with that, but I also think that the challenger scene kind of ended up being the same thing where it wasn't really that stable. And I don't think that's because the players were bad. I think it's just because you were playing essentially for your life. You had 3 months to make it work, and that can be pretty shitty and stressful for them. So they like Golden Glue is a perfect example of this, in my opinion, where he was scrim god, as everybody says. Then he gets on these teams and he doesn't perform. I think maybe the stress of knowing that if you don't make it, you're essentially jobless again was kind of affecting him. And then we get him on C9 Academy, and he knows that he's there for at least a year and probably longer. In the beginning of it, he's incredibly strong, probably the best mid laner there. And then he comes into the summer split with the benching and then him being able to show that he can play that. He didn't do amazing, but he still did well. But then you add in Jensen and give him a time to kind of like ease into it and get used to it. He ends up being, coming really close to being the scrim god or on stage god that he was in scrims. So we can kind of see how that kind of waves it out. So maybe it is time that we can say that we can believe in NA talent. And then overall, it is. We saw it with like Licorice and then JJ, DeMonte, and there's a few others that I'm forgetting. So is it time? And are you happy with the Academy?
So I'll start by saying I agree. Academy is successful and better than Challenger in a lot of ways, because Challenger was often like had a lot of veterans like boosting teams as best they could and stuff like that, and wasn't really about talent growth, despite like that's what it was supposed to be. Then the teams that made up through Challenger outside Cloud9 just sucked for the most part. So I do think Academy is a better system. On the topic of do I believe in NA talent, that one, I think it'll kind of be a situation that you see when you talk about draft classes in basketball, where like some years you're excited and some years you're not. And I think last year was a bit of an aberration because a lot of the guys that came up somewhat through academy or were like new NA talent were somewhat identified for a while. Like we always talk about this, Zazel, Deftly, and Licorice, all of whom were good rookies, were people that people
Those
have
are
been
all-
watching. Yeah, they
those are all
knew.
also, like they're also E United.
Yeah, they were all in E United, and they were good, and like everyone was excited to see them if you followed the NA scene closely, and that's like part of it. You know, Blabber, I don't think people were expecting, but he worked out really well. JJ, if you followed, you know, was someone that you could kind of see coming a little bit. He was good on, holy shit, yeah, University of Toronto with some of those other guys, Arian and No. And then I had talked to him a fair amount actually because he had done some broadcast work for us as like an analyst or whatever. And just talking with him, I could tell he was smart. So it was no surprise to see him doing decently. And like I think a lot of these people you could kind of see coming, and then they all kind of blossomed on the same year, and it was one of these maybe potentially aberration years. If this continues to happen, like then I'll start buying in. But like there were not that many actual surprises in terms of like young talent that broke out. And this year is a year where I don't see people I'm excited about where I'm like, oh shit, this is the year that these guys come out and they're finally able to play. Like Scouting Grounds this year was the first time that there wasn't a 17-year-old there, and like the only young new guy that you're excited about is potentially Fake God, who's on 100 Thieves Academy, I believe. But other than that, everyone else is like kind of known. So I'm not sure I'm ready to buy into NA talent just yet until we see, like maybe just next year, like at least 2 years of repeated academy to LCS growth type stuff.
I just like that
Whoa.
your example for
Colby, did
believing
you
in.
unmute on Skype?
Shit, I did. My bad.
Kid's a mess.
My bad. I just like that your example for believing in NA talent is somebody who's no longer a starter in the NALCS. And how many games did Golden Glue play at Worlds?
Goose egg.
So I mean, like
he couldn't
if
couldn't play at Worlds because they
he
picked a
wasn't
different.
part of the right span roster.
Right.
Right.
If it was
So he
seven-man
wasn't
roster,
good
he might
enough
have
to be a starter on the roster.
He's
So-
saying like Blabber was higher valued.
He's also going up against Jensen. Who
Yeah,
TL
but-
picked up over.
But I'm just saying your example is like the best example that you come up with for somebody from last year is somebody who wasn't good enough to compete on their own team starting roster at Worlds and is no longer a starter in NALCS.
My example of using so that the ability of the league will help bring out what's best in American players. Not necessarily that they're ready to be starters, but it's going to bring out what's best in the potential in those players.
So believing in NA talent means that NA talent will achieve the best that they can in NA, even if it's not a starting position?
I see what you're getting at, but maybe if the team size or the team counts were 14 instead of 10, maybe we'd see a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I also think right now with how teams are bringing in people from outside of the region to play mid, maybe Golden Glue's are a bad example. Maybe Blabber.
Sure.
Or even then, we still brought in DeMonte or Licorice, which also is top lane, and actually he wasn't from Academy. Who's the guy that was from Academy who went to top lane? I can't remember his name right now.
I'm just
Dokla.
Yeah, and he's American talent who is going into top lane, which is also a very heavily farmed position from outside of the region.
Sure. I'm just saying that when somebody says to me believing in NA talent, that has to me the connotation of us sort of reclaiming the region, as it were, as far as the percentage of the professional players that are starting representing the teams. Whereas like NA compared to other regions is like really, really heavy import friendly because we suck at the video game, which is fine because we have a lot of money, and that helps make up for our suckiness. And I'm a big fan of importing EU talent. I've been a big advocate of it for a long time. I really appreciate the farm system, which unfortunately now apparently has money and is able to, retain like caps and stuff, where in the past, we could have looked forward to that guy starting for TL. But here we are, just shuffling around NA talent. now. Or I get Jensen's now, you know, NA talent. So yeah, I mean, if your definition of like NA talent realizing its potential is like us performing to like having some starting roles and like being backups, then yeah, we can do it for sure. I just don't know that our player base ever. I don't know we ever produce another double lift. You know.
That's a really
Yeah.
good question. Like, will we ever have another standout player?
That is challenging on the world stage. Like, does Licorice count?
Sneaky.
No, he's saying like someone new. Sneaky's been around.
Yeah.
Sneaky's been around since season 2.
He said another double lift. Double lift is older, been along longer than.
Yeah, but somebody to their
Already
caliber,
sneaky.
right?
In an 8-year career of 8-year scene that is League of Legends, Sneaky's been around for 6 of them. He's not exactly
That's true,
new.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think Licorice is
Licorice?
the one. There's one answer, Licorice. And even
Yeah.
then, he kind of got rolled over by some of the best talent.
I think
even
we could see it with Zazel too.
sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Even here's the thing though, is that like if we're believing in NA talent, we're believing in us to probably even produce more than just like 1 or 2. It's like a consistent production of this quality of player, right?
Yeah, like what happens in Europe. Like every year,
Yeah.
there's a new fucking EU mid who's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, you see where this guy came from, Jizuke, what a
Right.
beast, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Korea and China and everybody, every other major region. So
Maybe we're just on the major hitting positions. Maybe not like hit or. I think might be a good role for that.
You're kind of cutting in and out, Excel.
Oh, sorry. Was that better?
Yeah.
I think maybe mid isn't the position we should look at. Maybe like support, because if you go there, let's go Chowster to Aframu, Aframu to Smoothie, Smoothie to Zazel.
I love that you put Chowster in there.
yeah, that's a fucking meme right there.
Dude, Chowster is watching this right now and being like, I can fucking do it all, dude.
I'm also
Greatest
trying
player.
to.
I hope Chowster's not watching this, because then he strikes me as like that fucking old guy at a bar. Like, you ready to talk? Let me tell you a story or two. And it's like he hasn't moved on. I
Let
hope
me show
Chowster has
you
moved
some
on.
clips of some Sona ults. You know,
I'm
that
also
Chowster
trying
threw
to
back
pull
in
it.
the day.
I'm trying to pull up Kelby's heartstrings with the old
Yeah,
reference.
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
No,
Well,
I don't think. Even to that point, like, if he wants to say supports, it's still like a stretch. Like, who's better realistically than Afromu?
I would.
Whereas from that era, you had in Europe Expeke, Froggen, and there's one other big one that I'm forgetting. They're the big 3, Alex Ish, and they have been replaced numerous times by numerous European talents. Whereas like we've had Afro and Expecial, maybe Expecial's the one like maybe dropped off, but like we're not constantly throwing new guys out there who are taking the crown of best player in the region or even best player in their role.
How many other regions are trying to take NA players and import them to their region? How many people are like, God damn, I gotta get that fucking NA player. He's so good, dude.
I mean, none. Especially if people in our region are saying,
yeah.
no one's going to take us serious. I mean, at that point, I think we're kind of cannibalizing ourselves by saying NA sucks. We're never going to do good in Worlds, and everybody who comes out of here is not double lift. So you're kind of telling everybody else in the world that not only do we think you suck, we suck, but you shouldn't be good either.
I mean,
Yeah, no, that's acceptance.
I mean, it's just a weird way to argue it. Like, no one's saying, like, no one takes those positions. They just take the best players they think they find. They don't care what message it sends.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's such a weird way to think about it.
Well, actually, that's not true. There is one team who took a different stance last year. They're Golden Guardians, and they got last place.
Twice in both Academy and LCS. Yeah, good point, Kelby.
I have a whole different opinion.
Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
Hey, Excel,
kidding,
thank
I
you so
love
much.
you,
Do you have any
Hunter.
final thoughts on the end of the call?
I'm just really hoping that the academy system does breed better talent. I think it's really early to ask a question, but I was really curious just because after it being the first year, I feel it was kind of successful. So I was curious to see if people are. I remember it felt like before people were shitting on the academy system, and it seems like we kind of got away from that. But was curious to see if you guys were sold on it completely. It just seems like we're kind of all in the middle. Like it could happen, but we don't really see it happen.
I mean, it's good that it's. Yeah, I think you're right in saying that we're all in the kind of the middle because I think it's good that it's there. I don't expect it to do crazy things. I think it's really bad if it wouldn't be here, but like, it's definitely not killing it. You know.
Here's the thing: is like even if you have the best chef in the world, If you give them terrible ingredients, they can only make food that's so good.
Yeah, but I'm also hoping that the academy becoming stable will help fix the fact that maybe people aren't taking solo queue as serious.
I
Maybe
think
this will give
that
them the reason
the
to take it
nervous
serious.
thing though is that Scouting Grounds did not have this year any younger talent in it. It had a lot of like familiar faces.
I think
And so that's the
18
thing is it doesn't seem like the ecosystem is generating new talent.
All the kids are playing Fortnite, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But sorry I
and-
interrupted you, Excel.
Oh no, that's fine. I'll say, I mean, I kind of agree. I do think that we're kind of wavy as U.S. gamers. Like we tend to go to what's the hottest trend, and then you get the diehards. I think that the diehards that are good at this game are either already in academy or the players,
Yeah.
and then the younger generation is like, this game's hot, and they're putting a lot of money into it, so they're all just kind of going.
Hey Excel,
I
thank
think
you so
they-
much for your call. Oh sorry, Kelby, what?
I was just going to say, I think that the U.S. as an install base as well, for gaming in general, is much higher
console.
console rate, which is why in console esports, the fucking U.S. destroys everybody else. We're the Korea of console esports. A lot of people are going to probably shit on that, but it's true and
Dear God.
real. Yeah, so like when like the new Call of Duty comes out, when something like Fortnite or whatever that's really popular on console comes along, like yeah, we don't have as much of our player base that's like as dedicated to strictly PC stuff. So
Hey, thanks
Yeah, I
Excel
agree.
for the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
One final caller. No
We
one
have
go
one more?
anywhere because I will be giving out some subs and stuff after.
Did I pull this guy? Did you pull this guy? Who the fuck is this?
I don't think I pulled this guy.
I
Alright,
pulled
well,
him. I pulled him.
You don't have the power to do that, do you? Oh shit, you do.
You had to have pulled him.
I don't remember.
Okay, good luck.
I already
Okay.
said I did.
Beyond
hiding.
Salvation, thank you for 3 months. This is A. Kelby is back. And Raging Pianist, 4 months in a row. AO, the reset sucked, but we
Whoa.
are back at 4 months. Yeah.
We'll fly through this one.
Super
Swamp-
quick call here.
Swamp Monker, what's up?
Manqué is French.
You're the last caller of 2018. You're gonna do this shit to me.
Well, let's round it out. Owner of the year 2018. Nobody's gonna debate me on this. I guarantee it.
What do you?
Although-
Okay. What do you? Where are you calling from? First off, come on. There's a pattern to this show.
I'm not mentioning where I'm calling from. There's doxers out there.
Just a general area.
There's
America.
doxers. Fucking swamp
What's your
Can you
monsters.
give us
worried
a
about getting
state or a country?
doxed.
What DNS do you have?
Who
right
is this person?
Dude,
North
I
America.
like. I'm a big. Wait, he's clearly from French Canada because he's he's got a
now?
French
He's from
pronunciation.
Louisiana.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
It's owner of the year. C9 Jack. Let's go. Let's go. Who can even debate me on this? Nobody.
debate
I
you,
got 10 reasons though. Let's go.
Oh, I got one.
Wait,
big
can we
one.
hear the 10 reasons?
Sure, we can
Well,
go 10
let's-
reasons first.
Let's hear Mark's one reason first. He's gonna be struggling for it.
Really, it's simple. He hasn't been on Hotline League as much as Steve has, and hasn't
Ooh.
memed as
Steve
much
is-
on Hotline League. So
Steve is my runner-up,
Okay.
and I'm assuming he's yours too.
he's number one. He's been on Hotline League more.
No, well that's
Okay,
well I got
just give
10
the
other
10. Give the 10
right.
reasons.
Longevity, number one. He's been around forever. C9 Jack.
I mean, Steve's been around longer, but continue.
Steve's been around longer. Keep going.
So
But-
we got 2-0
But
right now.
listen,
We're keeping the
I'm
tally.
gonna debate on my point. Is
Okay,
that
okay,
fair?
go ahead. Yeah,
After
go.
we
Yeah,
debate
my
your
bad,
own
my bad. Continue.
You've got
So-
10. You've got 10
but-
goddamn
listen,
points. You can't debate
but
on all
listen,
these. Jesus.
I'm not going to because I only have 8. I was lying.
Oh my God! Keep going. Keep it going.
All right, so number one, longevity. Yes, Steve has been around longer, but that's Liquid 112 back then. He wasn't known as Steve. Jack has always been Jack.
I think we're at
He was
1-1.
TSM
Okay,
Jack before.
continue.
Wholesome. You look at Jack's face, he's wholesome.
He's
look
like
at him,
rugged, like a cowboy.
but
He's like
It's
bearded.
not
Like
just looking at him. He just looks
depending
like a
on what
nice
he's
guy.
wearing, Jack could look homeless.
I
Are you
have
saying he's the
met-
most wholesome looking team owner, or in comparison to Steve?
He's wholesome. He's looking, but he's also. If you've ever talked to him, I've talked to Jack. I've been in his DMs. This is how I know as well. He's just a nice guy. Okay, he has a good vibe to him.
All right, I'll give you another point. You're up 2-1.
Yes.
Jesus, Kelby's so arbitrary.
Our viewership is tanking right now, by the way. Thanks.
But also,
Dude, are you serious?
Yes.
This is the best caller. Continue.
Do I even have to continue? Because I don't think Marks has a second
You said
point.
you have
for Steve.
6 more. Go.
Dude,
Hurry.
what? I
Okay.
would take Rick Fox over your
All
other
right,
point.
I'll
None of
be-
your points
I'll-
I agree with.
All
at
right,
this
I'll
point.
trim him down.
You're at 0. You have convinced me of 0 things.
Oh my goodness, Marks, you're just a
Go
thorn in
6
the
more.
side.
Come on.
All right,
Make a
so
good
he's
point.
good with he's good.
Give me
with
your
money.
best point.
He's okay. Well, let me scroll through. He's loyal. I even have a quote for this one. I even have a quote.
He
Yeah,
benched
he's really
a
loyal
bunch
to
of his
contracts,
players.
right? Super loyal to contracts right there.
Did you see how
What about
contracts was
Smoothie?
playing? He wasn't loyal to his
What
contract.
about Jensen?
Smoothie was super loyal to him.
What
Okay,
about
well,
Lemon?
let's
What
be
about
real.
Balls?
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know
What about
about those.
Medios?
I
He
can't speak
benched
behind
a
the
bunch of
scenes.
his players. Like he was the least loyal to his players in the middle of the
Continue.
year.
I have a quote though. Can you even hear my quote?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I'm
He
super excited
says-
for the quote.
Okay, well, this is from a Forbes article. Okay, so it says, "At our heart, we really were a family business." Oh shit, that says "were."
Yeah, then we got
okay.
investment.
All right, we're at 2-2.
Point
2-2.
four.
Next
Point
point.
four.
All
Point
right.
four.
Next point.
He's not afraid of new ventures. He just spent 50 million on Overwatch.
He didn't spend 50 million.
It was something
He
like
got
that.
he raised around to 50 million.
Oh,
he
yeah, it was
spent
raised.
other
Overwatch.
people's
Raised
money
it.
on Overwatch.
Oh well, that's even more of a baller. You didn't even
I
have to
mean,
go out of pocket.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much money
That's
Axiomatic?
3. That's 3. That is definitely 3.
Wait, Kelby, do you know how much Axiomatic raised? For
They didn't raise 50.
Do you know what they raised?
I don't think so. I don't know what they raised. 3.
Isn't TL a bigger organization in the esports world? Who's bigger than TL?
No, C9 is the biggest.
I think C9 has raised the most, certainly.
I could see C9 doesn't have a Dota team.
You've
they?
never met TL Shroud. You got like
Shroud's
That's
TL.
4 points.
You got
4
okay,
points.
Shroud left
listen,
C9. He doesn't. he's
Listen,
not
actually,
part of
here's
C9.
my. Well, he's still a
Formerly-
streamer on the brand. Or is
Not
he?
on the brand
he-
anymore,
No,
but
he's
he
still on
averaged-
the brand.
still
My
4
mistake.
points.
He averaged
My
3K
mistake.
viewers when he was part of the brand.
Yeah,
he only
that's
got
true.
big when he left.
All right, I'll take the
All right,
L
let's
on
keep
that
going
one.
though.
I'll
I'm
take
still
the
giving
L on
him the
that one.
point. Okay, never
Thank
mind.
you. Thanks, Kelby.
He's
Yeah, no,
consenting it.
Kelby's
consenting
very
it.
Kelby's very viewer friendly.
All right,
He's only
Jack's-
up 1 point.
Jack's humble. Have you ever seen him gloat?
Jack is humble.
Have you
Jack
seen
is
his
humble.
Follow Jack on Twitter.
Jack. Oh, all right. That is
All
that
right,
is
but
not
yeah.
accurate. Jack is not.
You
humble.
can't-
We're going
You
3-3.
cannot be unhumble in retweets. I don't see him posting any of the words. He's just retweeting. At least last
Jack
time I
has a
looked.
lot of original. Anyways, we're going 3-3.
Jack
You're
is
not
not
winning.
humble. That's a fail.
All right, well, he's a winner.
Okay,
I'll give you that. Yeah.
that's true. Although he
Yeah,
didn't
he's
win
won
spring
0
or
LCS
summer.
He has won 0 LCS championships since spring 2014. But yeah, he's a winner.
I mean,
For
he's
sure,
still,
dude.
Hey, at least you didn't have to say ever, right?
Yeah.
Well, who are we
Won a
comparing
couple.
to?
He's won a couple times.
Also,
so he is a winner.
their team
Yeah.
they won the CS:GO major this year.
Yep.
They won a bunch of shit.
Yeah. I'm kidding. I'm
And
kidding.
he's also an owner. He's not just a League of Legends focused person, right? He's managing a brand here, guys.
Okay, but so many of these
That
things you
applies
apply
to
can
every
apply
other
like
owner, too.
multiple team owners.
Yeah, but
Yikes.
you cannot.
Yikes, we are tied 4-4, sir.
Where'd you get all these points from?
What you just said he was an owner, and we have like every other person
That's true.
in the league is an owner, pretty much. So
I mean, he's got a lot on the go. Is my point. I'm not saying that he's
Okay,
exclusively.
wait. How many are we
Alright.
at 8?
we've got 8. We need a tiebreaker.
He
This is the final point. Whichever way
I
it
just
goes
got
determines
examples.
whether or not you're right or wrong.
Well, let's see here. He's got big shoulders.
All right.
That
Swamp
means he can arm
Monker.
wrestle any monkey.
If I would say for this year, I would tie it between Jack and Steve.
But let's come on. You guys are pandering to the audience here. You know it's Jack. I saw the whole chat lighten up. Oh, if it's not Jack, he's trolling. If it's not Jack, he's trolling. Well, I'm not trolling. It's Jack.
Dude, this is definitely my single favorite caller of 2018.
I
The last one.
I mean, here's the thing: is like
this is by the way, this is Jack with a voice changer. I'm pretty sure. That's why
This
he
is
won't
like
tell us
Jack
where
getting-
he's from,
Jack,
where he's
Jack
called
was drinking.
from.
No comment.
Jack,
No comment
Jack
on
was
that. No
drinking
comment.
the entire show and then just put a voice changer on.
Yeah.
No comment.
Listen. Here's the thing. I'll agree with like Jack probably being owner of the year, but like your points were fucking terrible, dude.
Well, that's right. I
The-
said I had 10 and I only had 8. You can't expect to be.
I mean, I think
of those
Steve
eight,
had.
You made like one legitimate point. You
I
have
think
one
Steve
eight.
had
yeah.
a better
Well,
year though.
I only needed 1.
Steve had a better year.
Yeah, because he
in
came on
some
Hotline
ways.
League. I'll agree with
No,
that.
no. He was fourth
He won
place.
2
You
NAL
know,
Kids
as a
championships.
joke, and then he beat everybody out. Remember that semifinals, like
He
TL
did
stomped
spend a
on
million.
C9.
For me, owner of the year is Matt. Snake Shot.
Yeah, that's my third.
He had I think the hardest road between Jack and Steve, coming in and having to build that thing and
did
doing the
have-
job that he did. Obviously, they had missteps.
Yeah, he had a
But have you
ton
seen
of
that
back.
I mean, there was like an
That merch is fire.
inquisition that took place on this show with Nate Shot. Like,
He dealt with the backlash though. He did. You got to give
He
him points
owned
for
it.
that.
He
Yeah, he
owned it.
Did he?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I mean,
he
he
didn't-
did.
Travis,
really
is
say
that
much.
your assessment?
by the
that
way,
he owned it?
Ventus official says Jack had a better year overall if you include things outside the league. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
That's no contest.
Okay.
yeah.
No
Nobody,
contest.
nobody's saying that. But this
Yeah.
is we aren't allowed to talk about other esports on this show, Travis. I know all the time.
I actually
because
couldn't name another
a
esport.
single goddamn time that I named Dota, you just over there.
Ooh.
Well, Kelby's mic is cutting out. I don't know what
I
happened.
think he rage quit.
I
Actually.
think it's really weird. I don't
Oh,
know.
my show now, boys.
I don't know why. Oh, I
C9 Jack.
Oh, he's back.
C9
I
Jack.
did give you
C9
admin
Jack.
privileges on the server, didn't I? That was a mistake.
All right, great call. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks Swamp,
Swamp
Monker for being like
Monkey.
the first at the end of the. He left.
Dude, that guy was fucking great. I don't know. I honestly, if viewership was actually plummeting when that happened, then I have no faith in the audience of this show.
It dropped a little bit. It's fine. And the other thing I'll say is like I enjoy arguing with people and like belittling other people's opinions. So like I hope no one thinks I'm actually like salty. I just think it's funny to like disagree. And his points
Nobody
weren't
could
that
have
good.
taken that seriously, right?
Yeah, like
So we were
I
all
hope
clearly
not.
just joking.
yeah.
All
Maybe Travis wasn't. I don't know.
Travis is not happy.
right. It's the end of our final show of the year. Mark,
Goodbye.
what do you want to say to close out the year?
Nothing. Go. Have a great Christmas or holiday, whatever you celebrate. You know, have a good life.
Kelby?
Guys, thanks for having me on the show. I had a lot of fun with you guys this year. It's been a good time. I really appreciated it. And I would just give one shout out, if I may.
Oh boy, here we go. I know this is.
That would be I'd really just like to say thank you to the Chainsmokers for everything that they did from early on in their remix days of 2012 all the way up until like mid 2016. They produced some of the best big room house I've ever heard, and they are super fantastic. If you haven't listened to them, which I don't know how you wouldn't have, living under a rock at this point, you should go check out some of their old stuff. They make pop music now. That's fine. It's their artistic right to change the direction and the style of music they make. I don't personally agree with it, but if that's what they're inspired to do, that's fine. But the Chainsmokers are super fantastic. I got to hang out with Rory Kramer, their videographer in LA.
When was that?
For a day, like a week or two ago.
Did you bring this up?
Bring what up?
The spiel that you do at the end of our show.
No, I was trying to play it super cool because
Come on, dude, you can't.
Dude, so like it's a personal goal of mine to meet these guys one day, right? Obviously that would be huge for me. And I'm the kind of guy where like I for all like the celebrities and stuff that I've met, I never ask anybody for photos. But if I met the Chainsmokers, you better goddamn believe that I would ask for a photo and I would have accomplished like, the biggest checklist in my life. And then I would ask them to unblock me on Twitter.
Okay, so here's the
so-
thing, everyone. Here's the thing. I think that I don't know if you guys know this. This is a true story. Kelby has appeared on all these episodes for free. He's refused payment. I think it's time for us as Hotline League to help Kelby out. We're going to do him a Christmas favor, okay? So I'm spamming in chat right now the tweet that I would love everyone to make. It reads,
also-
"Hey, at the Chainsmokers, did you know at Kelby May is a huge fan of yours? He accidentally got himself blocked by you a while ago. Could you unblock him in the spirit of the holidays?" If you guys can do me a favor, and you can go tweet that, I'm sure that like we can get him unblocked, and then it's
I
gonna be.
tweeted it. You can also retweet me if you're lazy.
Yeah. Well, if you retweet Mark, it's list. We need to get them himself. We need to get him on the board. All right. So if everyone, I knew you guys are spamming it in Twitch chat. Hey, listen, I know we're all a little drunk. Just to be clear, that's not going to do jack shit, you dummies. We need you to tweet it. All right. You need to tweet it, not put it in Twitch chat. That's not how this works. Okay. So they need to see that there's like a movement happening, a Hotline League movement. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Part of the reason I want you to do this is because there is a decent chance that Kelby will meet them next year, and I'm hoping that this Twitter movement,
Please, God,
they'll remember him because of this, and that they'll know that he got blocked and then unblocked. So.
Can
Anyway.
someone also make a supercut of every time Kelby has tried to plug the Chainsmokers so he can like show them like a 2-minute YouTube video of every time he says shout out to the Chainsmokers?
Yeah. That would be great.
I feel like my shoutouts have gotten worse over time. I need to go back and look at some of the footage and recapture some of that magic,
Yeah, I think it also might just be you've done it so many times now it's becoming work.
It's not work, it's just, like...
They want to know why you got blocked, Kelby.
He flamed him.
I did... Alright.
I've heard this story, alright? Can I leave, Travis, for this story? I've heard this.
No. Come on.
I'm going to leave.
No, please don't leave, because then it messes up the whole overlay.
I want you guys...
Can I mute myself and walk out of the door?
Sure.
Okay. Goodbye.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, he can't hear us. Okay.
I want you guys to know, and Travis will attest to this, I have been hard promoting the Chainsmokers on social and to my friends and blah, blah, all this stuff since way before they blew up. I was an early on Chainsmokers fan. Ride or Die super hard when they released the song that they eventually got super known for, Closer. Right when it came out, I said, and I have a tweet to prove it, this is going to be the first time you hear Chainsmokers on the radio. This is going to be the song that makes them huge. And it made them huge. It's over 2 billion views on YouTube. So I promoted them super hard for a long time. And then they've made EDM music this entire time period. They released an album that isn't a pop album. It's not EDM music. It's pop music, which is fine. Like I said, artistically, I believe they have the right to change what they do. But I was, as a longtime fan of theirs, and a Ride or Die supporter and just a big EDM fan, super disappointed that they released an album that was all pop music. So I made a tweet which said, the Chainsmokers' new album is full pop. Well, it was a good run. GG. Which in itself is not that inflammatory. I saw people the day that album got released tweet a lot of those things. But the thing that probably got me blocked is that I changed my Twitter banner to be the Chainsmokers logo, and then it said RIP in big letters, and had the date that they released their first single, and then the date that they released their album as their timeline. And I'm guessing that somebody probably saw the Twitter banner, and that was a little incendiary. I admit, I was hurt. While respecting their decisions. I've since changed it. I have the Chainsmokers as my Twitter banner now.
Is it the non? Oh no, you have changed.
No,
it.
it's just album art.
When did you change it?
I changed it. Well, I mean, I had other things in different periods of time, but I've changed it to this a while ago. I've been to see the Chainsmokers.
You are trying hard. Your pinned tweet is top 9 Chainsmokers songs remixes of all time.
Dude, I'm juicing.
Your most recent tweet is about the Chainsmokers. You are
Oh.
trying very hard.
I've like I said, you know this.
Yeah.
I
but it's
hard
just-
promote the Chainsmokers for a long time. I've flown to see the Chainsmokers across country. I've seen them live. Well, I've flown across country to see them multiple times. I've seen them live at least 8 times. I own a run of 30 edition jacket that they did, where they only made 30 of them, and I was like one of the first people, so I got one. I spent way too much money on it, but you know it's cool. I'm super hard Chainsmokers fan. But yeah, fucking block, dude. Have you ever dated a girl or guy? Had a deep, passionate, intense relationship? You say one stupid thing because they did something and then they just ghost you. They never speak to you again. And you were in love together.
A lot of people saying
you
they've
guys-
never dated anyone.
Yikes, dude. Well,
All right. I want to thank Kelby, Mark, everyone for being here. Mark, my constant co-host who would never abandon me. He's done so much for me over the years. And I just want to say, Mark, if you're hearing this, you're getting a raise, for doing the show. Hit me up about it later and we'll go through it. Kelby, thanks for coming on. Thank you to Alienware for their support of the show. Don't leave. I want to be streaming something. There's a giveaway if you're watching live. If not, go check out dale.com/Travis and the thing in the YouTube description. There's also a P.O. Box down there. Nobody stays to this part of the show, so it's fine. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been Hotline League, episode 59.